definitely is going to be a lot higher up on that list because those moments really are game-breaking. However, for the rest of his team, they've got some really flashy plays too. Even when we're talking about Luke alone, this guy is just pumping out the clips.
I mean, man, we saw what happened when he was actually put on like the Hylas. It's a whole different play style, right? This guy needs those big moments. If you're talking about big moments from Key, there's I think equally high amounts of plays in the game by Luke as well, and which is why I feel like putting him on a more static kind of hero like a Hylas really kind of takes away from the team, you know. But I think if it comes down to it, it's about the balance, right? All throughout the season, the Roamer and the EXP, there's a very important delicate balance there in deciding who goes forward and who really tries to be the main front line or the defensive tool for the team.
Yeah, now let's talk about the most picked and banned heroes for both of these respective teams. Of course, the most picked, you see a Ling over there for Super Ken, one of his favorites. And now, let's talk about Vincent on Geek Fam. Of course, he has the Nolan as his favorite. He has been criticized a lot. And of course, by Mirko as well, one of our casters here. He misses a lot on the retributions. He is so reliant on the Alpha, on the Suyos. Once he gets his hands on the Nolan, on the Ling, it's a different story. What do you think about Vincent, Gideon?
I think that Vincent right now, he just lacks target priority, right? I feel like he feels like honestly, he feels like the mentality of an EXP laner, right? Or at least when the fighter meta for junglers were around for a little bit, right? You basically take any one of those fights, see how much damage you do, and then kind of adjust as the game goes by. Unfortunately for Vincent, I think that right now it's really important to surgically extract certain players from compositions as quickly as possible, others not as high priority. I think that a Nolan is able to kind of compensate for that with the short cooldowns and high mobility to get in and out of tough situations. But you can see, if he plays anything else, right, that's when it's like, oh man, if I'm playing Alpha, if I'm all in, I'm in the right headspace, right? Put him on an assassin, you gotta flip a coin.
I think the big problem here for Vincent is that he's always been like a more consistent and safe player, which is why you saw him kind of pop off on the Roger, right? If you're a marksman or marksman/fighter, and part of your job is just to go for the cleanups, of course the Roger's amazing on him, right? But now that the meta is shifting more towards the assassins, you need to be looking proactively for moments that are kind of risky and take that risk. Make that assessment whether it's okay or not to go in there, and whether it's worth it to go in there and maybe trade an ultimate for a battle spell and all that. And I don't think Vincent is just in that same kind of mindset. He's more on play it safe, look for a window of opportunity, set up for his team, which is why the utility jungle is coming back right here. Has been a bit of a saving grace for Geek Fam, but of course we need to see a lot more here from Vincent.
I think I'm okay with the utility jungles in the meta right now. Yes, you're basically going to quote-unquote get outscaled, right? But then when you really consider, like, in terms of the scaling factor, you're just basically a less priority target. And I think for Vincent right now, the chain of command is the big issue, because if you want to make a play, you got to get confirmation from Beloit. If you want to make those moments to moments, you really need a lot of trust in your side laners to help make that happen alongside you.
Let's circle back now to the bigger picture, of course, the strategies, the current meta, the current patch, of course. In FPL ID, a lot of teams has been dependent on the Mathilda, on the Alphas, even the Suyo. The Suyo has been banned against Vincent for most of the times, and Bigatron Alpha yesterday picked up the X-Borg, but he was, or Super Ken specifically, he was outclassed by a Ling. You definitely don't lose that matchup, especially at Turtle Siege, when you go against a Ling as an X-Borg. But yesterday, Super Ken just got, I don't know, outclassed. What do you think of that, Arashi?
I feel like it's not really fair to just put all the blame on Super Ken.
It's his fault!
It was a tough game, man.
Yeah,
there was so much pressure on everyone, right? I mean, Bigatron as a whole, you know, you can say the same thing about, oh, you know, where was the big brain moments from Iman? Where were the flashy plays from Luke? I think overall, it comes back down to what is the game plan, and that ties in back to the draft, right? If they really want to have this moment where Super Ken is going to be able to actually get all of the neutral objectives, that's great. But you can't just get him one pick and call it a day. You know, you need to get more tools, right? More tools that are specifically also catered to your opponents. If you're talking about zone control, right? Controlling the area around the objectives, I mean, Team Liquid was just really good on that. And I think Bigatron just didn't have the same kind of tools to really contest and poke around and find information the same way Team Liquid did.
And now, for Geek Fam, of course, their problem was that one-dimensional draft. For the last two games, they spammed the Cho, the Beatrix, the Nolan. That was so problematic, I think, for them to go up against RRQ, but we hope that they do change a few things. As we take a look at the lineup here, Bigatron Alpha, it will still be the same lineup with Super Luke, Super Ken, Moreno, Key, and Iman. and they will still field their Terminators inside of them. And now Geek Fam, they have yet again the same beerers here. Veldora, Vincent, Avoy, Boloisky, and Chadera. It will be very interesting to see how they will approach today's match. And of course, as they walk onto the stage, Bigatron Alpha, they want to prove that they don't choke as they used to in the playoffs. They want to turn again the machines, the robots in their artillery. But in front of them stands tall Geek Fam, as the villains, as the ones who wants to stop, with the war crime general leading them. On the left side, it is Bigatron Alpha. And their opponents on the right side looking to crash yet another dream of Bigatron's. It is Geek Fam.
Man, that's a hype situation to be in, man. Both teams having so much at stake, especially for the coaching staff, with so much pressure, you know, highlighted by the talents, the casters, the audience on the drafting phase. You gotta feel for the coaches, man, in the playoff stage with everything thrown to disarray. I mean, with a new champion already guaranteed in Season 14, there's so much at stake here.
Honestly, I'm a little worried for them because this is purely one of the weak points of BTR throughout this playoffs. Their draft every single time. We hear this conversation time and time again. Why can't they draft better? Why can't we get these priority heroes? Why can't we be the best that we already know that they could be? But this is the one limiting factor. And now you're up against Geek Fam, of all teams, who have been like, what's been saving us? The late game and our draft.
Yeah, but again, I want to ask you, Gideon, the main issue that I talked about was that one-dimensional draft. What do you think of that yesterday when they were constantly picking the Cho, the Beatrix, the Nolan again for 2 times in a row?
Yeah, I personally, for me, I don't have much issue with it. Generally, if you are going to play these high skill cap heroes, and better yet, especially with the kits that they provide, you can actually be very fluid and flexible throughout the game. And I mean, we saw it in that the very first time they brought it out, they were doing really well in the early game, and then they took random fights after, and then the game after that, where it's, I don't know, Edith just wasn't the way to kind of go with it. I definitely think that they probably didn't practice this particular composition as much, because if you are playing a composition that is looking to fight pretty much anywhere across the map, you've got to have good comms as 2s or as 3s.
Yeah, and for Geek Fam as well, aside from that, they have been consistently prioritizing the Natan as well in the hands of Chadera. Chadera has been very pivotal in toppling down the Sky Kings, Fnatic, Onyx. What do you think of Natan picked by Geek Fam in the scenario where they always want to play base defense?
I feel like they really want to go for the base defense. They can go for the option. Boloisky is great at kind of allowing the team to recover after a rough start, especially against the team, the aggressive plays in Season 14. But Bigatron, you have to remember, they are a team that is well known for going very hard in the early game and getting all of the advantages and just pushing the limit again and again. So this is a whole different situation compared to Fnatic Onyx just yesterday.
And now, of course, keys to victory from Bigatron. If you want to play early, ban Natan. And of course, Natan has to be banned, because if you snatch it away from Geek Fam, they will kind of struggle. And number 2 is, of course, respect the prio picks if it's available. What do you think of this?
I think these are very standard here. I think you basically say that for every single one of these teams at this point, because again, that's just what the heroes provide. It's part of their kit. I mean, if we're looking for keys to victory specifically for Geek Fam, one-dimensional draft equals elimination, don't overextend and control Kadera's movement. That second point is kind of tough. Because,
Right.
I mean, after looking at yesterday's game, it felt like if he didn't want to fight, he could have easily not tactically roll into these fights. Yet he does.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works out for them, right? I mean, the plays, like when he actually went forwards, right, with the Beatrix, just going with a point-blank runner play. I mean, there were great moments here from Chadera. He's showing that he has that aggressive side to him as well. Some people are saying that it might be because of the taunts. I forgot who it was that said it, but someone was saying like, man, Chadera, all he does is wait for Boloisky. He can't do anything on his own. It seems like he has something to prove here in this playoffs. But again, against Bigatron, it can very easily be punished with El Momento, with Super Ken, with Moreno that's so comfortable just diving all the way towards the backline solo and making the plays happen. So he needs to be a bit more careful here.
I think first things first, we need to address the fact that at this point of time, the laners are going to be super important. Let's take out the X factors and the outside factors like junglers and roamers.
Yeah.
Leave it purely to the gold laners and EXP laners. Whatever advantage that you can create, especially for a one-dimensional comp that we saw the other day from Geek Fam, you can really abuse that. You can force movements out of your opponents just because you are slightly winning the early game or even your laning phase. And I think that's something that BTR is probably going to use to influence the movements from Geek Fam. So I want to see what Geek Fam is going to do instead. Are they going to double down, hey, if you're playing early game, we play early game? Or are they going to go back into their control style of play? You can have the early game, I'll outscale you at the end.
It's a very interesting approach as well for the draft. Now, speaking of drafts, I have been wanting to ask you this, but I think we will talk about it later because we will enter the drafting phase as we take a look at match number 1, game number 1, the drafting phase over in El Dorado, Bandung.
Ooh.
Fam against Bigatron Alpha. Take a look at that asset, get in.
Oh, it pulls it in.
It pulls it in.
Okay.
Franco hooking in the drafting phase for us, presented by the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE, our official tournament smartphone. Now, again, still with the respect ban on the Helker.
Man, this Hellkurt, dude. We haven't seen it in so long, and yet it's still respected. That is the mind game. That is the impact of the war crime general. Along with that, though, Phobius and Chip, and for Lovesy, the 1-1 respect towards Bigatron here is very notable. And with the Yve as well, mitigating a lot of the ways for Bigatron to kind of get advantage in the mid lane, especially because they know they can get the Sushin here if it's traded for the Suyo. But this Hylas, once again, is just being really prio. And considering Veldora was playing very aggressive yesterday with the Khalid, with the Khalid and the Gatot, I believe, just diving in the backline.
Yeah.
With the Hylas, it's going to be a lot more passive here.
Well, I think at the end of the day, Jushin is going to be the priority pick. I think the high loss is just to supplement that pick. My question is, why the heck is BTR banning Chip out on blue side, right? It feels like they could have just left that open. But, I mean, Suyo is good, but I don't think he is Chip level of good. He is really useful, especially when it comes down to neutral takes and cleaning up fights. It's a super easy hero to do all of those things, and you have the toolkit to do so. And then now that we come back over to like Geek Fam's side, getting these two is going to deter a lot of options from BTR. All right, you get the Gatot, sure. Early levels might be a bit rough, but we'll see in a little bit. Lo Yi, this is interesting because now BTR is like, all right, we're going to double down here on our mid trio.
Ooh, very strong mid trio for sure, with a lot of global presence as well, with the diversion and the avatar of the Guardian. We've seen though that the Loi can be a bit vulnerable depending on what they're up against, but maybe that's exactly the idea. They don't believe Vincent is going to go for an aggressive assassin-style jungler, so going straight with the Loi. But remember, the Alpha still is available, I believe. And for Geek Fam, that can be an option. If you combo that with the Hylas, that is a very difficult thing to deal with, right? A diving in Alpha with the glorious pathway just slowing you down.
I don't know. As much as people like to believe that Gatot is like, oh yeah, Gatot doesn't stand a chance against this Alpha, it's really about timing. If Alpha uses his ult first, Gatot can instantly go for the re-engage. And I think that's usually the biggest problem that we see from Alphas these days, is when they decide to pull the trigger, the counter-engage is usually heavier.
We did not see Geek Fam pull out their gold laner in the first phase, and they go for the Moskov, a relatively safe pick, of course, but against the Gatot, against the Luoyi, do you think it'll fare enough in the team fights, Arashi?
Gatot and the Luoyi, I mean, he's susceptible to getting caught with a random crowd control tool, and this is like almost a default pick for Chidera, right? He's one of the more well-known Moskov players, and Geek Fam like playing that macro-heavy style, but with the diversion and the Avatar of the Guardian available, I think it's kind of at risk of being ganked on out of nowhere, right? But maybe Voloisky can kind of read through the idea, the plan for Bigatron, and avoid all those diversion plays.
I think it's starting to look like a Cho angle here, I'm not going to lie. No, genuinely, I think it could be a Cho angle, because as of right now, Hylos is currently in a flex position, so it depends on what we see coming in from BTR, because they're probably going to position Super Luke for a winning matchup. That's just pure guess, right? So now that we see the Moskov as third pick, we can assume that Geek Fam right now is prioritizing both the EXP, well, I mean, it could be a roamer, it kind of depends on what has stronger wave clear at this point. It's about priority.
Yeah, the Alpha panned out as well. So, of course, Bigatron, still, they want to deny the jungle options. But what do you think of the jungle options for Geek Fam here, Rashi?
Jungle options for Geek Fam. The Julian comes to mind, but we haven't seen it actually relatively in recent times. With the composition here, I think it would fit quite well, but no, the Nolan is what they kind of want to limit. They want to make sure that Vincent has no mobility, to really be pesky, moving around like that. Not for Geek Fam though. Do they really want to go and get that jungle pick now, or do they want to hide the EXP lane? Because talking about Prio, the Khalid is one of the picks that has a lot of Prio, but sometimes we've seen teams not really favor it in the current meta.
I think if they're still focusing on what Vincent's jungle pick is going to be, they're probably going to lock it in right here. As in the Khalid is going to get locked in right here if they want to see the full lineup first. If not, they go for something like Hayabusa or straight into Tig. What is the blind call here?
They want to snatch maybe one of his heroes as well. I mean, he has been using the strike reel a lot, and then the Tan taken away from Geek Fam, of course, because they had the Moskov ready. What do you think of the draft so far, considering that maybe Geek Fam are denied of their favorite picks here?
Geek Fam, no Natan, but having
no Natan, no Suyo.
Technically though, the Tigreal is a quote-unquote signature pick. Beloyski was able to actually make so many plays happen, and also miss a lot of implosions though. With the composition of Bigatron kind of clumped up, the Loyi short range, the Gatot, and the Suyo moving forward, can be an angle here to really get punished by Geek Fam. But for Bigatron, right here, what's gonna be the final pick? It's gonna be the Arlet, most likely for
Super Luke.
Super Luke, I would say, yeah. Already an aggressive EXP leader, and it's a Joy.
Oh, Joy.
It's a Joy.
What are your thoughts, Gideon? Joy over a Julian or maybe something else?
I don't know. I think it's definitely punishable. It didn't matter what jungle pick that he went for at this point, unless it's a utility tank jungle pick, because Hayabusa, Joy, all are going to have a really hard time against Arlet specifically. And even so, there's just a lot of re-engagement coming in from BTR side.
Yeah, it is such a hard game as a Joy maybe to traverse your way around the backlines of Bigatron Alpha, because they have so much cancel, so much control over the team fights. Final thoughts maybe?
The way that I look at it right now is that BTR, they've got a composition that scales pretty well. But the main issue is initiating these fights can be a lot more flexible now that they have the Arlet. But main concept, wait for High Loss to drop down the ult, look for a final slash to slow it down, and if you do see somebody out of position, that's when you can consider using Gatot as the final pull.
Okay, so we will go straight into Land of Dawn as we take a look at the first match. Casters, Goni, Chefin, Mirko, take it away.
Stake is higher now. No longer possibilities of dropping down to the lower bracket. You're dropping down to elimination this time. Bigatron Alpha trying to beat the allegations. Geek Fam, a lot of questions to their players. Here we go.
Here it is, folks, ladies and gentlemen, lower brackets. These two teams who've made it past the grueling play-in stage find themselves in the same spot, elimination in the midst of the air. But let's take a look at the emblems real quick here. It's Eman opting to go for the Quantum Charge over the Weakness Finder this time around, up against this Moskov. So a lot of respect given over towards the kill pressure that the Joy can bring to the table. And yeah, it was definitely an interesting pick. We were also speculating that maybe it'll be an X-Borg jungle, a Bane jungle. Julian, definitely not a Joy that came to our minds. A Temporal Rain as well. The Joy, I think across all the regions, hasn't really been doing too well. I think in MPL Philippines playoffs, it's sitting at a 0% win rate, picked only one time. Veldora and Beloyski, you can see a bit of a change from the Prio in the playoffs compared to the regular season. Now a lot of teams is going for Concussive Blast to get more Prio on the map so that they can rotate around. Master Assassin though and the Bargain Hunter this time for the Natan and Moskov respectively. Really, Chidera. It feels like Mr. Chidera man has taken the Aaron Shiki statements personally, where he said that Masako is the aggressive one, Chidera is super safe, just waits for Beloy all the time.
Veldora jumps in though. Super Luke, this might be first blood. Super Luke pops the flicker as Vincent, he wants, and he is out for blood. Good spacing, Super Luke survives that gank. Some good pressure in the early game for Geek Fam, setting the tempo in the XP lane. Now Super Luke will not be able to play as aggressively as before.
Yeah, level 4 is definitely going to be tough for him to achieve now as he has to recall. But it does seem like for Bigatron Alpha, they're just going to take their time. Meanwhile, Geek Fam with the Prio on the Tigreal and the Hylos are actually looking to go for the contest despite having the Joy.
No implosion just yet though, as Key, no AOG as well. Key hovered around, knocked up. but the damage isn't there. Glorious pathway towards the backside, but that's the final slash. Ultras Beloyski implosion pops as well. It's gonna be Vincent though, clearing the turtle. But that's a stun, and Beloyski survives with that flicker. He jumps into the loop, take him down. As Geek Fam, they want more. Beloyski very low, going back, but he will not survive that fight. And a boy, Crimson Beacon to save his life. Divine intervention, Beloyski with that turtle buff, man. Could have gone so wrong for Geek Fam there, but he just gets away scot-free.
Phenomenal plays from Geek Fam, really just making a decisive move. They saw that the Arlet had to recall. They made the move instantly with the Pride that they had, with the Hylos, with the Tide Reel as well. And now Vincent is kind of online here, despite the fact that obviously, you know, he's not going to be able to one-shot Super Luke just yet. He's doing really good.
Meanwhile, that's an interesting build that they're from Super Luke actually going for. I presume it's gonna be the dagger first, so he wants to go for damage instead of just play safely in the lane. As we gotta take a look at the talent prediction by Gopei, Papulung, and Shafin. I love you, Papulung. You love Papulung.
What about me and Gani, man?
Nah, I don't.
No?
I hate you guys.
Why? All right, you know what? For the drama, I hate you too. We hate you too, Sheffin. Bigatron Alpha, though, they really need to start playing for, what, Beloy?
Oh, wow. Ocean connects now with the revitalized. He's trying to buy time, but he will not survive. Never mind. AOG to save his life. Vincent, though, secures it. And Geek Fam, they will back off. Love that game coming from Geek Fam. Feldora out of nowhere, man. The horse cross country.
In a way, it's great for Geek Fam again, right? They were able to get some pressure down, but the fact that they only got Key and they baited out Revitalize while sending 5 members up top gave some of the prio over to BTR. That's 2 waves that Mr. Veldora man will be missing out on the bottom lane, and it does seem like for Geek Fam, they will play with the weak side still. Chidera going bot, swapping out the lanes, while Eman is actually taking the route up top again. Not too sure if they actually are trying to utilize Eman to go for a fight here in the 4th minute of the game, but this is definitely a far shot from that Natan power spike.
Okay, right now, Vincent's already done with the purple buff. Now he has the green light to actually pull this off. And Chidera on the other side. Mind you, Geek Fam, the team that used this hero the most, Chidera man, is very familiar with this hero. Meanwhile, Vincent is already on the turtle. Beloyski has the flicker implosion, so keep that in mind for his initiation. Veldora pops in. And being the front line, diversion play, are they going to take this? Beloyski finds Key. At the backside, it's Super Ken with the cheeky retribution. They want more though, and it seems like with the SOD, he will jump in Bigatron. What are you guys on? Man, oh man, Moreno once again on a Valentina, on a Luoyi. It doesn't matter if you give him diversion, he's gonna eat.
And they're going for a gank onto Vincent, 2 men up top.
And he survived. That's the question. It seems like Vincent is still too slick with it. Even Moreno couldn't catch him. But now, Geek Fam, they will restabilize. They will lose the structure top lane, but it's a fair trade for the bot lane. Now the momentum is on Geek Fam, is on BTR side. Even Gold Economy, we're actually leading right now.
Yeah, Luke trying to go for a cheeky little final slash flicker combo there. But yeah, man, Bigatron Alpha were able to utilize the multi-dimensional diversion to get an angle, a different kind of angle to get to the turtle there. If it was just a pure front to back, Geek Fam definitely have a lot more of the edge. So much CC, just as I was saying.
Oh, good Sacred Hammer. Can Super Luke survive? The answer is no. Vincent, again, securing the kill. Such an even early game, I suppose. Mr. Luke getting ganked up by his own teammates, his old mates. Now we're gonna take a look at the in-game equipment, Mirko.
Taking a look at the in-game equipment, 600 gold lead over for Eman. Still building towards the Starlium side, however, so it's not really a super fast timer for Eman, despite the fact that he got 2 assists and was able to participate quite early. But they will be able to trade a tier 2 for a tier 1 up top. Eman!
Oh my god, Vincent, this might be a solo! Oh, the get thought catcher helped, but Eman secures the kill. Oh, he's not looking good, Vince. After the retry miss on the turtle, now he's gonna get killed by Eman, the worst person to give the kill to.
No, I was literally saying, you know, this is not really impressive timers for the Natan, but he got a kill over to Vincent, so that should actually increase the speed as to when he will get that Holy Crystal. And we've seen Geek Fam utilize that diversion.
Oh, again, Bigatron. Surprise, surprise. With that, they will have more river control. That's implosion, but no follow-up. He flickers out Veldora, trying to hold the line as Chidera is free-hitting. Tig falls, but Bigatron, they recover, and they fight back. Chidera with the flicker. Moreno, can he survive? The answer is no. Vincent collects the double, and Bigatron, they are looking at the newt right now. Already used the retry, but Super can also use the retry as well. So both teams are gonna back out from the neutral objective. BTR moving on towards the mid lane. Do they want to force it actually? They might. Vincent and the boy, can they defend? It seems like for now they can, but no. The base turret falls and the boy falls as well. Now let's see here. Key, can he survive this time? No. Vincent, killer instinct on this guy, but man. Seems like they are still hunting for more bodies. Moreno, good cover. Good information as well gathered, and Bigatron at the end, they will lead almost 1,000 gold. If you're wondering why, Iman! And with the entropy, it's enough to make Chidera sweat. Goodness gracious, the aggressiveness of Iman only died a single time so far. Not looking too bad for Bigatron Alpha as they secured the neutral objective as well.
Solid, really solid. The fact that it was just so messy, but they were still able to come out, I would say, somewhat on top. They lost Iman, but again, it wasn't like Iman is, well, at this part of the game, he's not really the prio target. He is a target that you need to deal with, but he'll be a threat later on. You need to deal with the Suyo first, man, and we saw exactly how the Suyo was able to take control of that fight. In the mid-game skirmishes, he is king.
Vincent spots the diversion. Let's see here as Key pops to revitalize. The implosion comes through, but he will fall. Now Veldora, Vincent trying to find the damage, but Veldora still holding on very strong. AOG towards the back, but that's the final slap. Super Luke making a play, and Super Tentacle likes the double. The joy pick, man. It's looking very good right now. The launch one on team fight, Evan! And Munpines, the entropy doesn't really land the connection, but that's a knockup. Sorry, and Geek Fam, they will be able to recollect again. Thankfully, the Lord will be up in still a minute.
So, yeah, Suyo's kind of broken, huh? The mid-game power spike is absolutely ridiculous on this hero, man. You can see how he just takes control of the fight, and for Bigatron Alpha, it's very different to what we've seen even against TLID just yesterday. Game 1, they looked very slow in terms of when they were making plays, how they were taking fights. It does seem like they have learned from those mistakes. Meanwhile, for Geek Fam, they've been doing quite a good job as well, really punishing on some of these mistakes against BTR. But I would say we're seeing an improved BTR from yesterday, but the same Geek Fam from yesterday. Geek Fam, yesterday, up against RRQ even, they're always able to build up a lead in the early game. They were always able to get prio in the first turtle, but then after that, these skirmishes that are just very unnecessary, and like Gideon mentioned earlier, the targeting, that is just not really that accurate. They always try to go for Iman, for Moreno, but again, mid-game power spike, mid-game skirmishes, who's king?
Suyo.
Suyo! Or as OG puts it, Soyu.
Suyo. Bit salty there. So, let's see. The first Lord of the game, BTR, obviously will have some sort of control here, even though a boy on the solution. Oh my goodness, never mind. Flicker final slash. Now let's see a boy. Can he survive? Seems like with the Crimson Beacon, he will stay alive. But Voloisky on the other side will fall. That's a double. That's a mega. And now Geek Fam, they find the collapse. Oh my god. Reno taken down, and Geek Fam, out of nowhere, they have found a recovery. My goodness, Super Luke. He's the one who pulled the trigger, but Geek Fam just capitalized on that. It looks like they know their ultimates quite well. Super Ken will try to do this. Oh, Chidera! Chidera's free hitting. All the targeting isn't really right, but Vincent shuts him down. Vincent finds a connection as he collects the double. A boy, though, will be the trade. And now it's going to be Geek Fam controlling the river and the Lord Key. This is not wise. Can he find one? The answer is no. Vincent finds the triple. Oh, Moreno? Do you want to gamble this? With him on, finds entropy! Let's see, 2v2, Veldora and Beloy, Bigatron, can they find more? It seems like Geek Fam, they have. It's time to back away. So, Mirko, what are you saying about Bigatron again?
Hey, again, it's the same thing, right? The king is still Super Ken. You take him down, then finally you can go for the third, or the Lord, the neutral objective. Geek Fam dealt with Iman, dealt with Moreno. It was a force engage from Super Luke. But then they didn't want to commit onto the neutral objective until Super Ken gets dealt with. He walks up forward, Chidera was able to bait him, and then they pull the trigger. It's all about getting the Suyo down. But as we get into the later stage of the game, that's where Iman can start to really put some damage down onto Geek Fam. If I'm taking a look at the items, he has the Holy Crystal. He's building towards Blood Wings now, so we'll have a bit more defense, and he has
to be way more careful in these skirmishes, right? Coming from the next team fight onwards. Tigreal, the way Beloyski plays this is he's trying to bait the Purify. So if you want to use a Purify just for Beloyski, it's not really going to work. They have layers and layers of CC, and once you use that Purify, you're very, very vulnerable to Vincent's damage.
Oh, that's long wings, by the way. AOG. Oh, Vincent, good juke, good bait. Vince, man, right now 10-1-3 so far, kind of under the radar. The performance, he's been getting all the kills. Imagine if he got like a Sky Piercer in the early game.
The Sky Piercer definitely would have been a gamble to take, you know, in the early game. Especially it was kind of shaky, but you can see the siege with the Moskov. Bigatron should still be able to defend unless...
That's a catch! Implosion! Beloyski though will be bursted down. Super Luke flickers out. Vincent looking to find blood. Does not find and land the connection. Amando finds the entry and he shuts Vincent down! Bigatron Alpha out of nowhere finds the right diversion play. They had the chance to back away, but Geek Fam gambled. They're overzealous. Bigatron Alpha just absolutely demolishes the fams at that time. And look at that. Lord advantage. What advantage?
Yeah. Bigatron Alpha, the fact that, again, after the Lord, you can see the gamble they took. They took a diversion over, got the kill onto the Moskov. That really stopped Geek Fam from being able to build up the waves, and that was what happened earlier. Geek Fam kind of seemed desperate in that moment. I don't really think that engage was necessary from Beloyski, right? They could have gotten a tier 2 for free and then backed away, but the fact that they went for a desperate move, and again, remember, we gotta talk about the conditions to win the game for Geek Fam. Earlier, when they won the Lord fight, how was it done? It was a massive implosion onto Moreno and Eman. He was only able to find Moreno, diversion.
Canceling!
No way.
AOG! A boy takes a Moreno down, but now Beloyski in the no man's land gets taken out of Vincent! He's free hitting, but he will not survive as Vincent claims blood. 1 by 1, it's a 3-4-3. Can Bigatron capitalize more? No! Vincent takes the triple, but Super Ken shuts him down, and it is going to be Bigatron wiping Geek Fam out in game 1.
Is it endable?
No. Oh, the minion is not there. Oh my goodness gracious, that is close. Oh no! It's endable. That's right, 8 seconds. 7 seconds, 5. Tedera Veldora, can they make the defense? Super Ken. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 1 should be over. No, yes! Geek Fam finds the defense. Okay, oh, the calculation, that is... I don't know about it. And now the Lord is up. What are you gonna do? They have to defend this 4v5, and that is going to be a bit tough for Bigatron Alpha.
That was super greedy. I was questioning, is it endable? I mean, the mini waves came through, but he bought a Wind Talker through. I don't know, man. That was a big throw from Super Ken. Oh, man.
Oh, let's see. Can Geek Fam capitalize now? Jumps towards the back lines. And seems like Bigatron, they can't recover. Vincent finds the Lord. Though, Law and Order connects, but the follow-up damage wasn't there. Vincent, man, that was a good diversion towards, or like, misdirection towards the Lord. He was just diving in on pretty much everyone from Bigatron's Alpha side. And right now, Moreno and Eman is the prime target for a Vinsanity.
That was a big gamble that Super Ken took, and you can see how much he's paying for it right now. Bad bet from Bigatron Alpha, a horrible decision from Mr. Super Ken, who's already, you know, getting a lot of criticism sent his way here in the playoffs. You might have to talk about that a bit further to panelists if this does end up with a loss, because Geek Fam now, what's different to the first Lord they took is they have all their members up. Now they can actually control the waves to push in towards Bigatron Alpha's base. And I feel like at this point, there should be at least one base turret falling, right? And with that, they have to take into account the fact that it will be Lord spawning in the bottom lane. So for BTR, I think the safest bet is put all your marbles up top. Try to go for the defense up top, because Geek Fam, that's what that's what they're looking for. They need to get that far lane base turret.
Let's look at the in-game equipment, and also look at the gold lead from Natan.
2,200 gold lead for Natan. Big moments for Geek Fam.
Bigatron, they need to keep Mon alive to defend this one. And Geek Fam looking for initiation mid-base turret. Falls, that's the damage from Iman. Chidera very low, but that is going to be the double. Beloyski on the other side will lose its mortality and its life. Big drawn alpha. That's the triple. Looking for the maniac is Chidera, looking for the life steal with the boy on the other side. Screaming for help, and he is backing away.
Disconnection from coming in from Beloyski and also the whole Geek Fam team. They had the Suyo, they had the implosion on towards one of the better targets, but no one was there. They have to be
Great
a bit
defense.
more connected at a time.
Yeah, and for Bigatron Alpha, we were talking about how there should be one base turret taken down. They were able to take it down, but now 7 seconds on Vincent, 3 seconds on Veldora. Seems like they want to do it. Part 2, BTR Siege.
Let's see. Base turret should be their main agenda. They get it, and now they back away. So they do not want to pull a Fnatic on it again from day one.
Oh no.
7 deaths.
Shiver me timbers. I just realized 7 death power
Oh,
spike.
man.
Ladies and gentlemen, if it looked like Geek Fam were struggling, don't you worry. Once you see 7 next to the Beloyski name in the middle right there, it's time for Beloyski to go BP mode. I'm talking big brain mode, man.
Not the S? No, it's a big drain. Geek Fam right now, they're trailing about 1k gold lead. But at this point, the gold lead, I don't think it's gonna matter much. The objective is just try to get Vincent some spacing towards Moreno and Eman. But looking at that, once again, Geek Fam, just like RQ's series last day, the win condition is gonna be hard to execute.
Slow push up top. Clear the trigger. Now let's see here. Entropy pop. That's an AOG. 1 towards 2, and that will be Veldora eliminated. Final shot brings Beloyski back, but this time the follow damage is the Moreno taken down. Vincent! That's Vincent with the clutch attack. No way! He will. What? Vincent! Where were you yesterday? Where were you yesterday?
Vinsanity in the building! My goodness gracious! 14 kills right now for Mr. Vinceman, and is looking to turn the script, beating the allegations. He is here to play.
You sure that was Fabian, right? What the heck? Vincent on the joy popping off, getting a kill. And you can see that glass cannon build. You were pointing it out earlier, Sheffin. For Iman, really not working there when they get dove on. Vincent, he's mad, he's angry.
That's the taunt, that's the damage. That is wild damage. SOD does not land. The boy will bring back key, and that's the double. Super Ken looking for the kill, and he finds the shutdown. No retribution for Geek for the next 45 seconds. Clutch flicker by a boy.
Man, it's 3-4 Mirko, but I don't think BTR can go for this one. Looking at Geek Fam's bodies right now, they have 4.
Doesn't look like Geek Fam can do it either, though. They don't
Wait a
have
minute.
retribution.
Wait a minute.
Beloyski's zoning, he's doing a good job.
The implosion connects. Oh my goodness, Chidera free hitting. Super Ken looking out. That's Chidera finding the risky play, though he will get punished. Iman bought the mortality. Will this save his life? Moreno finds the diversion.
Oh my
God! He saved Iman.
That was a pixel. That was the perfect frame. Diversion coming in from the big brain Moreno this time.
Wow, what a play.
Both teams, man, they're just going toe-to-toe right here. Whenever there's a pick, there's always going to be a big play that comes forward as well. And now Chidera is down. Again, at this point of the game, it's really just gambles that both of the teams are taking and both of the teams are making to try to get the game. For Bigatron Alpha, the gamble was trying to go for the 3v4. That didn't pay off. For Geek Fam, the gamble was to try to take the last 2 members down to end the game, and that didn't work out. Now BTR have the advantage coming into the Lord, but remember, Super Ken is still down. Chidera will be spawning in. Moreno diversion to bring Super Ken into the Lord pit.
Iman no Purify. Iman no Purify. Bigatron controlling most of the river. But it seems like Bigatron, they will take their time. They know the far lane is in favor of the red robot. So yeah, they will take their time here. And potentially the last Lord take.
Man, diversion, like, what's gonna be the counter here? What's gonna be the response? Because so far, they've been falling off to this Moreno plays over and over again. Every objective's, like, is it just instinct? Is it just reading the map better?
Really, it'll come down to the small little mistakes, man, or small little forced errors as well. Right now, it's all about the macro game. Geek Fam
fortunately for them, even though they don't have the base turret up top, it's a far lane away from the Lord, they have a Moskov, and the Moskov definitely kind of guarantees the side lane pressure always up against this Bigatron lineup that can't really afford to send anyone up top, and even if they do, they're gonna have to send Moreno with him to try to fetch him back with a diversion. And you can see that lane slowly build up for Geek Fam. This is the force area the Geek Fam can play towards Bigatron Alpha. Because they have the Moskov with a global ultimate, they can constantly just push up that pressure. And that far lane advantage is now gone for BTR. They're going to have to deal with it. That's why you can see Supercan desperately trying to get the hold onto the Lord so that BTR can send some of the members up top and then build another slow push. It doesn't seem like Geek Fam want that to happen. Veldora, they're taking control. A boy now in that bush. And Man will clear out the wave up top, so at least it will still be neutralized by him. Moreno buys the winner crown, and it's all about the stale-matey Geek Fam. This is the power spike. We were talking about Beloyski's 7-death power spike. That's when the Geek Fam just turn online. That's what happened against Fnatic Onic, all 5 games. And in game 5, it's deja vu to this one. Only the Natan is on the other side.
Oh my goodness, Geek Fam. The last time they faced Bigatron Alpha, it was an absolute sweep. Bigatron, so far, in the last 2 seasons, this is the wall that they cannot penetrate, the Beloyski wall. And the playoffs, it's always them eliminating Geek Fam in the playoffs. Now, this is the chance. First game diversion. Uh-oh, that's really good.
Moreno, that's a gamble. Implosion connects.
I'm on with the flags. AOG lands, and this is the time. Bigatron with the collapse. Vincent now in trouble. He has immortality, but the duality will bring him back, and that is Vincent taken down. The red robots, they want more. They want blood as Beloyski and a boy. They're the last standing. No wave clear. Do they want to go the whole way? Do they actually want to do the Lord? But no, Bigatron Alpha will pull the trigger this time. Can they actually do it?
Where's the diversion?
Diversion.
Across the wall.
Again, Moreno and Mon are looking for the flanks, and boy, has the immortality. Can they buy time?
Oh
About 20 seconds. That's a long time, and Beloy, and a boy!
No way.
A boy loses immortality. Boy bought the rose gold, flickers out, but in the mid lane, a boy will not be able to clear. They're looking for the base, ladies and gentlemen. Bigatron got the best of Geek Fam in game 1. First game falls to the hands of the robots. The diversions, the genius plays, the aggressiveness from Mr. Eman absolutely destroys Geek Fam in the late game. 7-death power spike? What is that to PTR?
Doesn't seem like it was enough just yet in game 1, but we know that Geek Fam starts the series slow, always. Up against every team, seems like game 1 is just a little bit of a warm-up, so we can't count them out just yet. It's a best of 5. There's still a long series to go for, and so far they have never been in the short series. Except, against BTR last season when they knocked them out. BTR already changing the tides of the game, but man, I gotta say, Geek Fam, Vincent's improved so much since yesterday. You guys were throwing it out. Where was this Vincent yesterday? Where was this Vincent on day 1? Because maybe we just need him on the joy. Maybe it's time to give him the joy. It wasn't enough though. We have to talk about some of the others underperforming. Why is it when Vincent steps up, Chidera goes invisible? He was a ghost in that match. Every single time picked off. And I can say, one of the reasons is Luo Yi. We've been talking about this pick, hyping this pick up all the way from before the playoffs started. And we've only seen, 2, 3 Luo Yi picks. Now you get to really see how Luo Yi can dictate the pace of the game, can dictate the fights even, with the Gatotkacha, able to follow up wherever. This was such a gamble. You sent 2 of your backliners, 2 of your most vulnerable targets towards the backline, but because you have a Gatotkacha, the vulnerableness of this composition, of that 2-man diversion, isn't really that bad. You always have a Gatotkacha to follow up, and Suyo was able to just hold everyone in the back, hold everyone that was trying to find Moreno and Eman. Really well played towards the end, although there were a lot of mistakes from both these teams. BTR came out on top in game 1.
Game highlight by new application Kobe sandwich diversions from Luo Yi and also Natan help BTR secure game number 1. And mind you, there's literally no proper catch, no Kajas, no Francos, no Tigreal on the side of Bigatron. It's just Eman and Moreno playing with their pure damage dealing potential. This is Natan late game. This is Geek Fam knows this the best. But what does the panelist knows about this game? We'll just throw it over to our boys right there.
My oh my, what a way to start the day. What a way to start match number 1 in the playoffs of MPL ID Season 14, day number 3. That was an insane game. What are your thoughts, guys? I know you were screaming and shouting all the
me?
time. Both of you.
Man, it just really felt like Big and Alpha could have done so much better, right? There are so many moments where we're like, man, this fight is winnable. Or like, hey, this is an N angle. You know, I mean, I think we all know which moment we're talking about.
Hey.
There was an N angle right there as well. They got the job done, but at what cost, right? Oh boy.
Generally, it costs them a lot, but definitely I agree with you. I think that there were a lot of weird moments in that game, macro and even micro-wise to a certain degree. I feel like this is the warm-up game for BTR. They do not look like a well-oiled machine. I mean, it's still a machine. It just needs a little bit of WD-40, just a little around the edges, and I think you'll be good.
Yeah, and I think it was an insane game, back-to-back, of course. This was the player highlights that we were able to see. And in the game, it looked like it was Geek Fam's game to win. I mean, Vincent, he is touted as the worst jungler in MPL ID Season 14, but now he's able to pull up the Joy and pull up like 16 kills, if I'm not mistaken. He's just running around rampant in the backline of Bigatron Alpha. So far, the Joy, what made it work? What made it able to get so much kills?
Well, pretty much like Kadera being invisible. I don't know, because he was not touched in the early game as much as I thought he would be. He definitely wasn't invaded as often. Even during team fights, there was a big negligence of dealing with him. They kind of strayed away and focused mainly on that backline.
Okay, but here we go. Even if 16 kills are on the board, but the loss is still a loss. So now, the MVP presented by the official tournament smartphone, the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE, it is Moreno. 20 assists as the Luoyi. And that game-winning fight was courtesy of his diversion as well, a flanking diversion, a sandwich diversion in which Eman rather, hitchhiked to the diversion and was able to take down Shadera.
And that's the power of the macro tools, like the chip, like the Loyi. You're seeing why it's so good in pro play. But again, you know, despite having all of these tools, right, all these long-range tools, of course, Kika had Chidera on the Spear of Destruction, but with the diversion, with the Avatar of the Guardian, you would think that Bigatron would have been able to seal the deal so much earlier. And to answer that question earlier, realize the fact that Vincent was doing so well right here. Is it because Bigatron Alpha just weren't respecting him? You're seeing a lot of crowd control tools used up so early in the game, in the team fights, and nothing really is kind of kept in the tank to deal with the assassin, right? With the dangerous snowballing assassin from the side of Geek Fam. It really felt like they really should have had a plan for it, but they didn't. And of course, after that team fight was that moment that does not get shown, but then afterwards, it's just a full-on slugfest, man. We expected Geek Fan and Bigatron, two teams that are kind of intellectual. The Geeks versus the AIs, you know, programmed to win. But this was just a brawl, dude, a slugfest.
It was. I definitely think that Geek Fam was, at the very least, we're making a lot more of the smarter choices macro-wise in the game. However, I do feel like BTR, I think they need to keep their plan really, really simple right now, just to make sure that they get back into form, to put some polish on this machine so far, because if we base it on these moments, a lot of it just comes down to just the awkwardness of the draft for Geek Fam, where there's such a high execution cap that needs to happen in comparison to their opponents BTR, which is pretty straightforward with their engagements and team fights, with the only exception being Moreno, who thinks about the map a little different.
Yeah, he was able to match the macro with the diversions coming in from the Luoyi. But now, of course, the item builds will start with the emblems and talents. Anything in particular do you guys notice?
Well, I like how Kyo and the Garukacha, instead of going for more HP somehow with the vitality, for the movement speed, just tankiness. Like, he knows that Super Luke wants to be the aggressor, the guy that's waiting around for that massive final slash. So he goes for the Garukacha and plays for the front line. My question for him is, why wasn't he using the passive more often? Again and again, we saw him in the middle of the fight with a full passive bar. And you know, you can go for a smack with only half of that bar full. And he wasn't using it as much, so losing out on a ton of regen. But afterwards, I think the Winter Crowns, again, showing that when you're up against a team with a big moment, like Geek Fam here with Beloyski necessary, with the electrifying beats, right, on a longer cooldown, having a Winter Crown kind of negates a lot of that danger and allows you to play a lot more aggressively too.
I would agree with that. I do agree with you that he wasn't using his passive as often. I wish we could see how many stacks he has on that Thunder Belt just to reconfirm how often he's not using it. Because at this point, you're 23 minutes into the game. I can only assume you're getting, on average, you're getting about like 30 stacks by like roughly 14, 15 minutes. So I would assume since it's 23, let's give it an extra 12, maybe 13 at that point, around 42.
It's a high action game as well.
It's a high action game.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, right? You need a team that's able to communicate very well, and I think that right now BTR, they're just not in the same mind space, right? They're still adjusting the wavelengths.
Right.
And now, of course, the goal distribution from both junglers, Super Ken and Vincent. How is it possible that Vincent with the Joy was able to yet again kind of like outgap and outclass a fighter in the Suyo and Super Ken? I mean, this is not like Vincent. It's like another jungler that's taken his place.
And it's crazy because Super Ken is known to have a solid retribution. He's on the Suyo, the quote-unquote broken hero with the mini instant no animation Balmond ult, and he's not winning in a lot of these in these retro situations. It might be because of the team fights as well, by all means, but it just doesn't seem like it's supposed to happen.
That's why I think he's not warmed up, man. It's really difficult to miss that combination. Once you're at that threshold, pressing 2 buttons ain't difficult. But if there's a delay between pressing, your retribution into the Soul Sever, then Vincent's gonna have a chance if he just, hopefully throws his retribution like expecting it to happen. But then again, I think that when we really break it down, if we're thinking about the way the map should have been played, Bigatron Alpha did a really good job at actually extending their leads and mainly punishing Geek Fam if they fail their engage. The hard part about it was that a lot of these engages from Geek Fam were really successful as soon as they shut down Moreno. That's why his KD is 1-7 and 20. He's the assist guy. He's not really the MVP because he's slaying these fools.
Yeah, we saw that earlier, I think, when he was quote-unquote caught out. On the bottom side, Beloyski pushed him out of his own diversion.
Yep.
But then the Avatar comes in, and you saw the massive yin-yang impact, the damage, and all that. But again, the fights were just so inconsistent. It's hard to really pick like the dominant team. Look at this, man. It's a whole roller coaster of a ride in the goal difference over time graph here.
Yeah, it was indeed like Bigatron Alpha. They were able to capitalize on a lead for quite a brief moment, and then they had to free fall, deteriorate and plummet down into Geek Fam. However, still they were able to bank on the Natan late game, and also the diversion from the Lo Yi, who is again yet able to open up a space into the backline.
I feel like if they really want to get a convincing performance, they gotta put more emphasis on the team fighting, right? With the games so reliant on team fights for both these teams, we've seen it in game number 1. They gotta, iron out the game plan, not just for the match. For the game, but for the actual team fights. Who's gonna engage? Who's gonna disengage? Who's in charge of doing what? Because I think we were talking about this in the middle of the game as well. All the frontliners are diving into the back line of Geek Fam, and Bigatron's back line were just like trying to struggle on their own to try and survive against the Joy. That's partially why Vincent was just doing so well.
I think a lot of it just comes down to like, if you are going to commit to an engagement, you need to see full commitment from the whole team, right?
Yes.
You need to make these engagements really quick, really fast, because if you drag it out, it just gets harder and harder and harder every single time. I think coming into game number 2, a couple of adaptations I would hope, definitely Geek Fam taking blue side, of course. But I think for BTR, I'm interested to see how they play red side. I'm guessing that they're going to open up. If Jushin is available, definitely going to take it. But their flex pick is going to be really important.
Yeah. What do you think about the drafts, though? Was it a Bigatron-esque draft, or was it like a draft gap? Because we talked about it in the KTVs, and one of the gaps that Bigatron Alpha does have now, the voice that is left by Kesq, is the fact that their drafts now aren't as solid as it used to be under Kesq. But now I feel like under Wura, it's always kind of like a hit and miss draft.
A little bit, but I think this time he hit pretty well. I think he definitely pinched down on the correct targets. Like the fact that we're seeing Vincent on Joy, he got nothing left to play, man. He technically could have played Hayabusa, but it really doesn't matter at that point. They all kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, they have the Lo Yi as well, knowing that there's going to be a massive team fight trio in this game. The Lo Yi does well with that. The diversion was actually important as well to actually end up the game. So I think the draft was really okay, but it seems like the players don't really know what is the idea, man. And if the idea is to get a good phone, I think we got something to recommend, really.
Yo, Arashi, because Gideon is here, we have a welcome gift for him.
Oh!
Take that. That box right there, that's for you.
Oh,
Gideon.
this?
Oh, wait,
Yes,
what?
There's something new from the Samsung Galaxy S24 family lineup. That is in your hands, this Galaxy S24 FE. For those of you, including Gideon, who is looking for a phone with flagship performance but a budget-friendly price, the Galaxy S24 FE is a perfect choice. Priced at only around 9 million IDR. But you don't need to think about the price, Gideon. It's free. It's free for you to bring home back to Malaysia later. Its gaming performance is 2 times faster than the previous version. It's amazing, right?
I don't know if you're messing with me right now. Are you serious? I can bring this back?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you accountable. I'm gonna hold you accountable. If one of the producers come up to me and say you can't bring that back, I'm like, but realize that I could.
Well, who doesn't want to bring it home? Because the features are insane. What more are the features, Arashi?
Well, first of all, it's the gaming performance itself basically is 2 times faster than previous versions, man. It's crazy. And it features the 120 hertz refresh rate that makes it really, really smooth. So, you know, we don't want to see that choppy FPS. We don't do that, man. And if you still want more, the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE is equipped with a 4,700 mAh battery. So you can play games on it all day. And it's not just the capacity. The usage is also so efficient, dude. I've seen it myself. It's unreal.
That's crazy. Honestly, isn't that the size of a power bank already? Like a portable power bank is about the same. It's about the same weight and as well as power capacity.
And don't forget the Samsung Galaxy AI.
Wow.
Have you seen the tools you got?
Right.
You have the circle to search. You got the what's it called? The draw, the sketch.
The stylus.
Yeah, so basically you can sketch up something and it will look for something
You
in
can draw something in
the
picture.
internet.
It's gonna insert it into your picture.
Wow.
AI, bro. We're in the future right now.
Future. We are in the future, so what are we waiting for? Buy it now so you can flex your Samsung Galaxy S24 FE like Gideon is doing right now. It's starting only at 791,000 rupiahs per month with 0% installments and get total bonuses worth up to 2.8 million rupiah plus a free 2 times memory upgrade
free.
256 gigabytes for free. So if you want to vlog your journey from Malaysia to Indonesia back home again, you're gonna need the memory.
Oh, well, that's not bad. That's not bad. Honestly, I wonder how everybody else is going to be able to get their hands on these, man.
It's hard.
It's not. It's,
Very rare.
it's
Extremely rare.
oh, it feels good in your hand as well.
It does.
Earlier, we were saying
Fits.
it's weighty, man. You can feel it's premium.
Yeah.
And also, Gideon, if you own the Samsung Galaxy phone,
Oh, there's more?
look at where they're sitting. They're sitting in the VVIP zone in front of the players. They can literally hear the players breathe. It's called the Team Galaxy Zone Cam by Samsung Galaxy.
Wait, what am I doing here then?
Yeah,
Wait,
it's down
you
there.
should have told me that this was happening. Then I could have been down there to report straight from the stage. This is insane. So you guys are telling me that the Samsung Galaxy is not only giving away phones, but at the same time getting seats for people who are traveling down to Bandung to watch the playoffs?
Yeah, VIPs. And when you're up there sitting in front of the VIPs, you're gonna get your hair smoothed out, of course, sorted out with Head and Shoulders Lemon Fresh Gatot Kacha.
The lemon flavor, as Gordon likes to put it.
Lemon flavor.
Kevin is definitely in the building, though.
CITB.
He's a big fan of Head and Shoulders. He has seen the results firsthand. He's looking straight at me from the caster desk. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Up to 100% wet dandruff wipeout and itchiness protection if you use the Lemon Fresh Gatot Kacha shampoo by Head and Shoulders. And of course, back to the game we go. It's gonna be again Bicatron Alpha against GeekFam in game number 2. As we take a look at the audience topic voting, they failed to take the lead in game number 1. How can Geek turn the tides in game number 2? So we're gonna roll out the answers, roll out the results as we take a look at the percentage of what they voted for. Number 1 was set up wars more effectively. Number 2, reduce overextension. And number 3, improve Chidera's positioning with 50% sighting onto the setup wars more effectively. What do you think about this?
Huh. I think it makes sense because when GeekFam were able to actually get the advantage, get the fight that they want, right? When Voloisky can find the target that he's looking for, you can see that the whole team just does better. I think Gideon pointed this out on Moreno's stats earlier. So I think you can also say that with the last fight being a great evidence of it, when GeekFam are the ones engaging, Bicatron kind of spread apart, they're kind of caught off guard, they're kind of panicking. But when they're the ones using the diversion, letting Key go for the engage, they kind of have a bit more of initiative. So I feel like if GateFam can kind of take the initiative away, stop the engages of Bigatron, and instead make sure that they are always the ones making the first move, they've shown to have a really good track record in doing so.
I don't know, because right now it feels like everybody is expecting these teams to play very tempo-like. And I feel like, especially for BTR, they're definitely more aggressive, but I don't see them as a control team. They know how to play with tempo when they're ahead, but when they're behind is when we see them kind of lack on that to play for late. GeekFam is more of the tempo to the late game side of things. We see it in all their games. That's why it's the 7 deaths, late game Maloyski, you know, war crime general himself making the moves. I think in this game, if they are going to be on that, blue side, I would imagine that they're probably going to get an early pick for Vincent, and then maybe, just maybe, sneak away with a Jushin. But that's assuming that BTR don't care about it.
Yeah.
But that probably won't happen. In terms of priority picks, Suyo, Jushin are looking so very good.
They do need to get Vincent a prio pick, maybe the alpha, again the Suyo like you mentioned. But after his performance with the Joy, do you think he still needs those prio picks?
No, I think I think you're putting too much emphasis on it when you don't need to. I think that Vincent could have been fine if he was playing Hayabusa. It really didn't matter what he played at that point because he was a non-factor in the eyes of BTR. They just avoided him.
Yeah, and we will go back to the drafting phase presented by the official tournament smartphone Samsung Galaxy S24 FE. And now we take a look at the bans, Fanny, 1-1, and Mathilda. Again, this time Bigatron Alpha, they deny the Suyo pick in the hands of Vincent.
No Suyo for GeekFam. Doesn't mean that it's actually gonna, guarantee a great jungle performance though. They're still respecting the 1-1 and the Fanny, of course, and the Mathilda. So this shows again that they want to get a all-in type of engage. They don't really want to allow Bigatron to go back and forth. Usually Bigatron are really good at doing so. And you can see that they themselves are banning away all these all-in type heroes. The first pick actually is the Zushin.
But the question is, why is
The Yee's
Bigatron
available.
Why is Bigatron so confident on letting the Zushin go?
Tough to say. It feels like GeekFam has a composition designed around this Jushin because they're also banning out things like 1-1. I mean, Fanny, I mean, Super Game, we all get it, Matilda as well. These are very tailored bans towards GeekFam's side. Much of which we saw, I mean, the Matilda and 1-1 we did see in the previous game as well. So I'm only assuming that GeekFam wants to kind of polish up on the previous draft in a more dominant position on blue.
That seems to be something that GeekFam does quite often as well. I mean, we saw it earlier.
Whoa!
Yesterday, actually.
What?
Look at that. Gato lead. Means there won't be a lot of flex potential right here unless, these picks go to some weird positions. But there's a lot of trials.
Yeah, they have been the poster boys for the closing regular season of MPL ID Season 14 in week number 8 and 9. And they take the Yves to just trying to neutralize the lane against the Zushin for that extra poke and range.
A boy's Yves, dude. Definitely quite the terrifying pick. I mean, we've seen that. That's part of the core reason why,
It's Moreno's Yves.
Yes, Moreno taking it away from Yves, so they were respecting the potential for, a boy. But a boy, again, knows how to play the Yves. He probably knows how to counter it as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how GeekFam kind of deals with that. But right now, it just seems like Bigatron are really doubling down, expecting a big team fight. With GeekFam going for that team fight emphasis, now with the Avatar, the Raging Sandstorm, the real-world manipulation, there's so many ways for Bigatron to get that big combo off.
Yeah, right now I don't see much of a way for GeekFam to run at BTR with their first 3 picks. It's just a little too difficult. I think at this point, even if they did get the Arlet for themselves, it's it's not the easiest matchup. What else could they do to kind of sandbag them while still having an engage opportunity? Maybe a Ruby to a certain degree. The Hylos is all right. I mean, Phobius would have been really ideal, but it's been banned out by BTR as well.
I wonder if GeekFam want to go for something like an X-Borg. They're up against 2 tanky members here. And it also works well technically for Vincent. If it's Vincent will be on the alpha, so maybe for Veldora, right?
What about the CC though, Rashi?
Oh, you're right.
CC.
If there are more tanky members popping up for Bigatron, that could be a very real solution there. But
They banned the X-Borg themselves.
GeekFam banned the X-Borg. Interesting.
Yeah, I like this. I actually like it a lot. I like it a lot because at least GeekFam understand that once the RWM has been dropped down, whoever's inside of it is basically unfightable, right? There's 2 ultimates you have to worry about, and X-Mark can just sit inside and peel for your comp. So now BTR is forced to not have to play as passively as they did before. I think maybe they might put a utility jungler. It's a little tough to say. Here's pick. Moskov, they're holding it off. Interesting.
Moskov, gold lane. At least they have it in the hands of Iman now. What does this Moskov want to achieve, really, in this composition?
Well, damage for sure. Crowd control too. I mean, if they are clumped up together by the Advent of the Guardian, for instance, then a Spear of Misery can kind of set up for even more follow-up. And overall macro play with the Advent of the Guardian and the Moskov, they won't have the low Yi the same way to move around. But with that available, even if Geekfam are playing in a Ube fashion, right, sticking together as 5, Bigatron can kind of pull them apart using this these escape tools available on their composition.
Well, here's the thing. I was curious because this could have been. I mean, Iman could have played Beatrix for all intents and purposes. They've got like 3 initiators already to kind of set up that zone of influence. And I think that right now, at least for the Moskov, Kadera is basically on his own. He can split push on the side and then come in with the Spirit of Destruction later. Oh man,
Edith Clint. Clint is well known as a tank killer. What do you think about this?
Tank killer, kind of. He just has a lot of burst damage, a lot of AoE, and the laning phase is just deadly. But I think Iman, being Iman, the big brain gold laner, will be able to manage against that. Nolan as the final pick here against the Alpha, trying to match the clear speed, I would assume. But Veldora on the Edith, potential to do damage in the late game. But when it comes to the setups and frontlining, I think against RRQ, Veldora didn't seem that comfortable on this Edith pick.
I mean, he didn't, but he still has the exact same job, right? He's opening up that map for them with the help of the high loss. Ideally, as the Edith, you're going to be the one finding the majority of the members of BTR, and if they engage on you, at least you have that Primal Wrath to kind of buy out that extra precious few seconds.
Quick predictions. Rashi?
Oh, I like the whole combo type situation, so I think I gotta go for Bigatron.
Get in.
I got to go with Bigatron on this one as well. It's just easier to pull off overall.
Bigatron 2-0 so far from Arashi and Gideon, but of course we will see it all unfold in the Land of Dawn. So casters, take it away.
We've seen this before, Geek Fam. Down 1-0 in this playoffs. They always win game number 2. Can they actually do it this time against the mighty robots? It's Geek Fam ID versus Bigatron Alpha on game number 2.
They did it against Onyx in day number 1. They did it against RRQ in day number 2. Let's see if they can do it here because, hey, I got a mere bird whispering in my ear, man. Shout out to the BB Arrow team, the Big Brain Arrow team who's restreaming this. Mr. Ulf, Mr. Marky, Mr. Delar, and Mr. Hate. Shout out to that Onyx PH roster M3 who are watching this. And hey, Sheffrin, you're going to like this. They predicted Geek Fam 3-1, all of them.
Thank you so much.
Say thank you, BB Arrows.
BB, thank you all of you guys. I love you, BB Arrows.
BB Arrows.
Nah, I'm not gonna say that.
Big Brain Arrows.
Yeah, I guess. But you're looking at the emblem miracle by IndieHome by Telkomsel.
Yeah, still the Impure Rage here for most of them. Oh, that's a quantum charge from both, but the vitality and tenacity actually from Iman.
Mid lane, that's a cancellation, and that will be first blood for Super Ken. A bit too obvious the beta, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow, that was surprising, definitely, even for a boy. He didn't even get to use a flicker key.
He's stunned up, revitalized pop.
Oh my lord.
Vincent will pop the Fear of Alpha. That will be Super Luke initiating, and that will be Vincent and Beloyski out of the picture. Master of Vaders in Bigatron Alpha, and they're already up 1.4k, 1.5k. In 2 minutes, this is not looking good at all, especially when you look at Moreno on the Yves against the Sushin. So far, Mirko this season, it's 100% win rate for the Yves.
And Iman is winning against Chidera in the Moskov versus Clint lane. So not only do they have a guaranteed kind of winning matchup right in the Yves and the Juicin, that's why we saw the Yves ban before the Juicin pick earlier. Now they all have level 4, they have Prio, and it's up against an Alpha who needs to get the early game. BTR, 3-0 free turtle.
Look at that. Keep looking to capitalize in the top lane, looking to exploit that lane, but it seems like Iman is still chill with it. And this might be building up towards a late game Geek Fam, but the question is, or the problem is, they definitely use usually under the Natan. But right now it's a Clint Miracle, so the wave clear, I don't think it's gonna be able to withstand the onslaught from Bigatron Alpha if it does happen.
BTR really just playing for that Prio, man. Again, the concussive blast meta, it's such a non-lane for XP and for the mid lane because of Key. And you can see the Ani's prediction, shifting here 52% over towards BTR.
I'm actually quite surprised it's almost half and half. But yeah, shout out to all Geek fans out there in the bottom lane. Though Super Luke have to get away with the... Oh no! That's a juke, double team, and now it's triple team. Super Luke, quick sand guard by time, but it seems like with the cancellation, Valora secures Super Luke. AOG does not land, but Chidera taunted, and Super Ken finds the kill. Veloisky in a no man's land, isolated, real world manipulation. Help Super Ken to find the kill. He is horsing around. It's what he does. It's what he did just now.
I don't know, man. Is it horsing around or is it a step closer to the 7th death power spike? I feel like that 7th death power spike hit a bit too.
Oh my lord. Laura misses the flicker. Earth shatter.
Man, Luke just showing his replacement that maybe you're not Luke.
Uh-oh. Let's see here, Megatron very, as per game plan, seems like he though will be knocked up and taken back. Revitalized pops here. 3 members is on him, but it seems like he trying to hold on, trying to buy time. And it seems like he, with the glorious pathway, will not be able to escape. Chidera secures it. Super Luke comes in with the Khalid. Crimson Beacon by a boy. It seems like Super Luke trying to hold on. Vickers away and him on. Almost finds a kill. That's the Vincent with the cover of the Sphere of Alpha. And that is 2 members taken down. Chidera out of the picture. Moreno looking to find space. Knocked off. Super Ken will not be able to survive and save Moreno in the land of dawn. Brothers, we're playing a competitive game here. It's not a brawl.
It really isn't a brawl, but BTR seems like they want to brawl always. Vincent, no retry.
Seems like Vincent with no retribution will not be able to contest the turtle. Oh man, the winning lane, as you mentioned, Miracle is now down to 1 hit, just a hit from Eman. I think he could have, or he could took it right now if he wanted to force it.
Definitely, and you can see that's why they're sending Clint over to the bottom lane. This winning matchup that isn't really winning right now. Now it's going to be Chidera on the losing side of the matchup. So he's going to be placed onto the weak side of the map. They're going to send Beloisky over to give him a bit more farm, and BTR. Whoa, that's 1 fracture.
Double teaming, glorious pathway. Mon finds the SOD. But thankfully, Chidera has space to get away. Geek Fam, will they re-engage? Seems like Moreno is on them. AOG finds one. That's a Super Luke from the flanks. He finds one. Now he's looking for Vincent Belois. He is out of the picture. Now it's going to be Vincent taken down. Moreno, extra gold. Everything falls perfectly for Bigatron Alpha. Oh, that underrated slow coming in from the quick sand guard coming in from Super Luke. He knows his old mates, man. Just reading the movements coming in from Geek Fam like a children's book.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Bigatron Alpha really just taking this game and steamrolling with it. This is a risky playstyle that they displayed in the regular season, but they've kind of refined that playstyle, you know? In the regular season, some of these fights would have gone to the side of Geek Fam, definitely, with the weird targeting of BTR in the regular season, but here, the redefined version of this playstyle is looking pretty clean, despite the fact that you mentioned it does look kind of brawly. They know exactly who to target. They know exactly when to use these flickers and when to make these gambles. Because when Moreno flickered over to shut down Chidera, and it's actually quite worth it with Moreno only giving the kill over to the Alpha, it's a utility jungle that's already behind in farm as well against the Nolan. Take a look at this, 2-level lead for the Nolan. He's already building towards a BOD, and as I mentioned earlier, the lead is ridiculous. That's a 1,500, almost gold lead.
Oh no.
And they're going on Luke.
No, Raging Sandstorm. What? And King, AOG. To building onto Renge seems like 2v4. So he connects real world manipulation as well. Now it's going to be Super Ken looking for Chidera. Oh man. He will be punished, but Geek Fam, they have recovered. Oh, I think that's worth it for Geek Fam just now, right, Mirko?
It is worth it for now, but the fact that they lost the gold lane, or BTR can collapse again.
They want the mid lane turret. Oh man. Taunts by K. Good initiation in Bigatron Alpha. They will find another member to avenge Super Ken's death. Man, Geek Fam, yes, you are building your chaos like this is the brawling nature that you want to do, but that was way too deep, Mirko. on the other side of PTR's map.
They should have taken the win. Again, you mentioned it. That was a very, very good trade. You got someone that was godlike for someone that's 1 and 3. That is so, so worth it. But the fact that they still decided to try to defend. Remember, this composition is all about getting Chidera ahead. This is a pure front to back built for Chidera. He needs to win the lane. That's number one. That's already, a no-go here in the early stage. Mid-game, a boy's gonna be quite weak. He was assassinated early on. That was first blood. Vincent on the alpha as well.
Oh my lord! Practically solo kills Vincent. AOG box as well. First pathway committed, and it seems like he tried to hold on, but he will fall. Bigatron, they move onwards. Maloyski's gonna be next target. Is Super Luke again, being very annoying on this Khalid and Geek fam. They are forced to go back.
Vincent, he didn't see it coming. And by the time it hit him, it was his last surprise. Moreno? Like, that should not have happened. It's a mid laner against a jungler, a utility jungler at that.
It's a mid laner that is farmed up like a gold laner, Chef, and that's the difference here between Moreno and a boy in this game. Yeah. Moreno has 5 kills, 10 assists, and yes, 10, he's level 10. A boy's level 9. In terms of levels, he's not far off, but if we can take a look at the items again, we'll definitely see that massive gold lead. Usually, when we see games like this, it's a, 1,000 gold lead in the mid lane, and that's very rare even. So the fact that he has that damage, Beloy just used the glorious pathway. They are getting really desperate. And it makes sense because their composition isn't really a full scaling comp. If they had a Natan, they'd be chill. They'd be chilling in the base, waiting for the defense. But the fact is, they banned a Natan over. They had to respect it from Iman that could pick it up in red side. And now they're lost. They need to defend, but their defense isn't the same. It's not the same composition that they had to defend against Fnatic Onyx 12k gold lead.
Man, oh man, a 7k for Pikachu and Alpha right now. The red robots is definitely having their way with GigFam's players. Is this the effect of Super Luke? Switching side, switching sides? They know their teammates better than anyone else, and now they're just gonna ram through all the turrets in the mid side for GigFam.
Things are not looking good here, ladies and gentlemen. And one by one, the structure of Geek Fam has collapsed. Let's see, Geek Fam onward, on towards Super Luke. Super Luke calmly done. He just goes back with the skills that he has.
Super safe for Mr. Super Luke, because he's on a Khalid. He can just walk out, get full HP. Basically has a built-in recall. And now they're going to look for the siege. They still have a Lord. Oh
my God! Super Luke got 10 with the flicker raging Sandstorm. Good night, Chidera. But it might be a mistake as Vincent falls as well. 2 members for 2. But remember, Bigatron, they have the Lord.
It's all frontliners. They can still push to the tempo. Pikachu and Alpha, except for this one though, the Lord, it looks like it's just gonna hit the top turret, and they're gonna get it. It's value.
First Lord getting a base turret. That is totally value.
That is ridiculous. They're going to get 2. Chidera's only now respawning, and I don't really think he has the damage to threaten anyone. The Lord got 3 hits on the base.
Oh man. 10 kill difference also in a span of 11 minutes. They are just, you can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their, the way they play. It's desperate. And to make it worse, BTR, look at this composition. Look at this combo. The Katot Kacha and Khalid. These 2 guys can fly around the map technically and just absolutely destroys the backline of GigFam when they didn't expect it coming. And you can see it right away in that engage earlier. They came out of nowhere. The flickers, the AOGs coming in from El Momento.
Crazy AOGs from BTR, and that's why the Katot Kacha. Again, this is a pick we've been talking about even before playoffs. We were talking about how this should be prio, but so far in the playoffs, it really hasn't. Bigatron definitely showing that it is still in the meta. As expected though, all the recalls coming in from Super Luke actually, the man who was part of GigFam. As he throws over the GigFam emote, that's 1,000 gold. 1,800 for mid lane. That's why you can see the big disparity of damage. 4k almost for the Nolan. 2k for the gold lane, and now he has a win of nature. So if we were talking about how Clint has no threat before the win of nature, what's it now? Like, Iman is just, he can SOD to the front and look for pure damage and 1v1 Chidera.
Vincent right now, I believe he used the Warrior Boots earlier, so there's literally 0 magic defense.
Absolutely 0.
For Moreno. And again, just like Eman towards the Clint from Chidera, he can pretty much take it 1v1 against an Alpha.
Bigatron, they want to pull the trigger here. And with Voloisky almost with Eman in HP. Look at Eman. Take a look at Eman in the bottom side.
No.
Is on him. Can they find the Lord? Superken finds Valoy. On 1v1. Key looking to buy time as Superken collects the Lord. And it's going to be Superken collecting the double. But Veldora finds Eman with the solo.
Wait a minute.
Boy jumps in with the flicker. And Superken finds the trade. And that is Chedera going to bed. Good night. Let Moreno tuck you in.
Moreno just T-posing on towards Chidera right now. Veldora is the sole defender of the fam unity. Can they actually do it? Can he do it? The ultimate is not here yet, just yet.
No Primal Wrath. Bigatron 4 match points. They're looking to clear. Super Ken is on the base. Super Luke as well. And ladies and gentlemen, the Rat Robots, they're programmed to win. They got match points.
A way better match. A more dominant performance coming in from Bigatron Alpha. And it's really not looking good for Geek Fam. I gotta say, at that point, at that game, it looks like every aggressive movement that they made, it was the result of a tilt. They're just lost.
They truly were. I don't know why they pulled the trigger so early in the early game, I feel, you know, because they have the Clint to fall back on. If they don't have control over the turtle, they could always just play over the Clint. But the fact that a boy got solo killed, or sorry, not solo killed, assassinated, that should have been the red light, right? Like, stop going for these early initiations. But instead, Vincent used the Spear of Alpha forward. Once you use the Spear of Alpha, this is the negative of Alpha that we don't get to see a lot in the playoffs. But once you go in, you either win that fight or you're dead. And we got to see that super early. Usually, we never see that part of Alpha, that side of Alpha in the early game. That's always a late game thing. When you go in and you just die, right? When you fall off.
And the youth to Zushin ratio is still 1-0. Kept clean by Moreno. He was the MVP of the first game. He might actually do it again in the second game. And so far, he's been one of the clutchest performer, one of the best performer in the playoffs. By the way, he's not even making first team or second team all MPL in season 14. So we're gonna take a look at the highlights earlier. Game highlight, full dominance, BTR races to match point with a one-sided game. Now, Geek Fam, they are no strangers to comeback. They've done it before. It was Marquee, the solution back then. But is there even a solution this time?
Well, Marky's watching back at home, so no solution here. He was playing for Team Evil, unfortunately not Geek Fam, so they can't make that last-minute swap that they made to win against RRQ. Unless they try the other M, Masako, from the solution to the ingredient.
I guess you could say it that way. But yeah, we're just gonna throw it to our boys right there on the panelist desk. What's going on? What happened in game number 2?
What happened? Moreno happened. This guy is insanely good in the Eve, and I could say that was almost a one-man show.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Second.
Maybe
I'm a Moreno glazer.
Moreno glazer. Look, I think that Moreno is a great player, but I also think that his team just made it so easy for him. It's one of those, like, whenever you're playing Beatrix and you have a troll on your side, you guarantee you're going to find those kills. Or Franco.
No.
Same concept, except Moreno is the one getting all of that gold.
And, you know, shout out to the coaching staff as well for getting a draft like that. We saw it earlier, and immediately it was like, man, it's so simple. And if it really revolves around team fights, oh man, it looks really tough for Geek Fam, and it was really tough for Geek Fam. So the players executed it really well. I think a lot of the issues we saw in game number 1 also were kind of reduced, improved on as well. And of course, Moreno, like you said, yeah, it's not fair to Moreno without highlighting his presence in this game, dude. It's just so good.
Yeah. Just look at how much value he's getting out of the RWMs every single time. Connects on as many people as possible, the maximum amount of people in his range. And still, yeah, I would have thought that this game might have dragged out just a little bit longer, but unfortunately, a lot of coin flips were actually on the losing side of Geek Fam. There were very clear 50-50 fights in the early game, but it just didn't go their favor.
Especially when the game goes to the mid game, the late game with the Lords in the picture.
Yeah.
Those coin flips become more and more, I don't know.
It's not as much of a coin
There's
flip.
just higher stakes.
It's a loaded die at that point. It's when you have that much gold, it's just impossible to make that many mistakes. And I'm going to assume,
Yeah.
it's Moreno.
Wow,
It's
who would have
MVP,
thought?
the player of the game
100K.
by the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE. It is Moreno, 7-1-14. Lightning truncheon on the Eve. For the extra
the
splash
heck?
damage in the wave clear?
I mean, that and the movement speed.
And burst.
It's just so. I mean, Moreno played a disgusting game, and by the time but I think the game was pretty much over when he got the Wishing Lantern, right? The Wishing Lantern, and then
was
the
the
fight
second item.
immediately after. Yeah, and I think that put him so far ahead of everybody else. He was like 5-0-3 at that point.
Oh man. Again, in the mid game, if you lose like that and you lose an objective, several turrets, the damage just kind of adds up a lot more in that mid game. And don't forget about Luke, the guy who was distracting so often, just smoothly surfing all across the board, all the way from the beginning of the game, setting up for the rest of the team, kind of allowing Key actually to get even better engagements on the Garakacha. There are moments like this though where the big ults do miss, but man, like you said, Gideon, when you're that ahead, it doesn't even matter. They just brute force the fight.
Yeah. And
Look at his damage.
think of it as well. To put it into perspective, I feel like, everyone else in the Bigatron Alpha lineup was able to enable Moreno to reach these heights. I mean, Super Luke had a fantastic game as the Khalid with the awesome initiation that he was having. The lockdown was on point as well towards the backline of Geekfam, but Geekfam themselves, I feel like each of their individual laners did not have a good time playing the game. The Zeusin was constantly poked out by the Yve, and Chidera with the Clint. You would expect Clint to really be able to bully and win out the lane against the Moskov, but however, Chidera had a very hard time to traverse around the lineup of Bigatron Alpha.
Well, I think that just goes to show that the meta is very dependent on the mid trio and taking control over the mid trio, right? And controlling the mid lane most importantly, because the gold lane in EXP, as much as you want to win those lanes against decent laners, they're just going to buy time until you overextend before they actually even try to engage you.
Man, this game seemed like so long due to all the action. It's only 13 minutes. Bigatron.
It doesn't feel like it.
Man, I mean, look at the emblems here. Tenacities for the side of Geekfam. 3 actually. They know they want to stay in the front and withstand the onslaught from Bigatron Alpha. But this is a new solution we're seeing kind of pop up again and again. When the team is now using all these big frontliners, right? The Hylas, the Edith, to try and bully you away from the neutral objective, to get control over the area. When you have a spammable, first of all, mage, with a Wishing Lantern, you do max HP damage every 2 or 3 seconds when you're on that Eve. That is a disgusting amount of damage over time, man.
Yeah, it begs the question whether Geekfam need to reassess what they need to ban out in terms of priority on blue side. Because keep in mind, they banned out the 1-1, they banned out it's not the Matilda as well. I think definitely they could have held it up a little bit longer. They knew that Suyo was never going to see the light of day. But I think that's the big problem, right? As much as you want to have Jushin and you want to supplement the Jushin, you still need a support that actually helps you with the wave clear to maintain control over the mid lane. If not, you have to call your jungle to come on over to help you out.
Yeah, he did that mid prio as well for Geekfam. And the Zeusin, yes, it is a very, very good pick, but it really needs supplemental values like how Gideon mentioned. And now the gold distribution, Iman against Chidera. I mean, yeah, I can take a look at the stats. I mean, it's kind of like a one-sided stat. I mean, Iman was indeed the one having most of the times, but it wasn't really the Iman that we know. He's not the Terminator that he used to be, because mostly he was only landing the spears and getting the initiations and getting the assists, because he was like, what, 9 assists, I guess?
Well, again, why force it when it's not necessary, right? He goes for the Spear of Destruction. If he goes in and tries to get a participation trophy, get a couple of kills as well, you know, he can get punished and give Geekfam a chance to come back. But by just threatening the chance for him to go in, he kind of puts an afterthought in the heads of Geekfam's players, and that's enough. I'm more surprised that Chidera, even though the lane was pretty rough, he's actually still able to kind of match up when it comes to the gold gain from the minions, right? Only a 400 gold difference. It's quite interesting to see. But damage taken, look at that. There's almost 400,000, almost twice the amount. Poke is where it's at. And when you're against Poke, usually the solution is good engage. Get onto them before they can buy enough time to keep wearing down at your HP bars. When Belois is on the Hylas, you just can't do that. We talked about this. If he's on a Tigreal, there's a chance he's going to go for a super long flank, a massive flicker play to try and get to Moreno. At least make it a 50-50, you know, make it a 1-for-1 trade, get it equal. But no, they can't. They have no chance at all. They're already slowed down by everything. They have to walk through the Yeet slow, the Gatot slow, the Gatot taunt as well. There's just way too much to traverse through.
Yeah, and also Gideon mentioned that Bigatron Alpha's lineup is, you know, favored because of the simplicity. It's very
Way
easy to
easier to pull off.
What do you mean
Way
by that?
easier.
Way easy. Literally, you press buttons. You literally press if each person pressed one button in the right order, they've won the team fight hands down. As long
is
as
that
they hit
easy?
It is just that easy to pull off.
Dude, don't do anything too crazy.
Yeah.
Do the basics and you win the game.
Pretty much. And
Simplicity.
I think that if we to draw the line of simplicity and complicated, I think that Geek Fam, they just needed to get over the early game. Once they hit the mid game, it gets a little bit easier to actually manage because their composition is actually pretty good at peeling backwards and can take care of the front line of BTR.
Okay, then Alpha with a 33.67% win rate
Oh.
in playoffs. Is it time to deny Alpha comp for Geek?
To deny the alpha comp, so like not use it themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, Alpha hasn't really seen good results in the playoffs. What could be the main cause of that? Does he need someone as a good sidekick? Maybe the Mathilda alongside him?
Well, again, any kind of good setup will help a jungler that wants to be as aggressive as the alpha. But I feel like this stat is kind of unfair because it's just so popular right now. It's between the Suyo and the alpha generally. So a lot of teams will pick it up whether or not they're really good at it, or if they have the composition, or if they've trained the composition to use it well. I think we saw Fabian pull off an amazing alpha still. So I think with the clear speed, with the true damage, right, with the spammable skills, including the speed of alpha, that's on you can get two of them in a single team fight actually in the late game. I feel like it's still a very strong pick, but in the right hands with the right composition. There's a disclaimer right there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, right composition or not, I definitely think that Alpha is only in meta as of right now. I think he was going to fall off of the meta, to be perfectly honest with you, because of the inclusion of Jushin. But now that we have to deal with Suyo, there's not much of an answer to Suyo. Oh.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. This is international content. I thought it was local.
Yeah, we do take a look at the top 5 highest kills in game.
Wait a
With
minute.
Number 1, is that Vincent? With 17 kills? Talk to me about this stat.
What are we looking at?
What
That is
are we
crazy.
looking at?
I mean, I'm more interested to see what Mirko thinks about this.
Wait.
He's been very vocal about Vincent, but
Yeah,
hey,
hey Mirko, Vincent ain't the worst jungler in Indonesia.
I don't. I'm a little confused because isn't that the literally just the previous game?
he's doubling down.
He's doubling down.
He's the worst.
He's the worst. Well, I mean, it's always better for you to prove it with your actions. 17 kills, that's a lot of kills, but
Technically,
Yeah.
you know, his team is in the pedestal now too. Oh, it's very hard. Now, the question is, the biggest elephant in the room is how can Geek pull off their comeback? What do they need to start off with? The draft? The execution?
I think as of right now, Geek don't have too many outs to play. That's why we're seeing that the comps are pretty straightforward. It's primarily centered around Kadera. I think they just need to go back to that.
We'll have to see that. But before that, we will throw it up into the stage for the host interview. Budik Laramongstad and Alyssa, take it away.
Pati oleh Bigetron Alpha Biget Troopers, mana suaranya? Match point untuk Bigetron Alpha, namun semangat pastinya masih dimiliki oleh Geek Fam, karena Geek Family juga nggak akan diam. Mana semangatnya Geek Family? Luar biasa sekali ya Bude melihat di match kali ini di semifinal lower bracket, karena harus ada satu tim yang pulang. Jadi mereka pastinya ingin bertanding yang terbaik untuk mengamankan spot, paling tidak untuk masuk ke babak Grand Final yang akan mengamankan tiket MC. Betul sekali, memang perjalanannya cukup panjang. Dari semifinal kita harus melihat mereka berjuang lagi di final lower bracket, lalu baru bisa mengamankan tiket M6 World Championship, di mana kita benar-benar menantikan nih wakil dari Indonesia dari lower bracket akan siapa. Tapi benar-benar kita harus mencari tahu yang benar-benar layaklah, yang bisa berjuang dan mengamankan setiap match-nya, itulah yang kita nantikan. Betul sekali Bude, jadi kita berharap yang terbaik pastinya karena kita melihat kedua tim ini sudah cukup ketat persaingannya dengan mengedepankan semua strateginya ya pastinya Bude untuk bisa berada di M6 World Championship
Benar,
pastinya.
Bigetron Alpha kurang 1 poin lagi.
1 poin lagi untuk
Satu
bisa
poin.
mengamankan, mungkin kita tanya-tanya ke Big Gate Troopers, kira-kira bisa nggak 3-0?
Tapi siapapun yang ingin menang untuk melaju ke babak selanjutnya harus punya 3 poin. Bigetron Alpha memang kurang 1 poin, tapi tidak mungkin kita nggak melihat adanya perlawanan dari Geek Fam. Mereka juga sama-sama harus punya 3 poin. Memang sekarang belum, tapi Geek Fam bisa nggak nih ngejar? Semuanya berseru-seru bisa. Memang yang namanya kurang harus dilengkapi. Kayak Bude nih, kayaknya ada yang kurang gak sih? Loh, kalung Bude mana ya?
Loh tadi Bude pakai kalung loh padahal.
Makanya hilang ya. Bentar, kalau di foto bagus gak ya? Gak pakai kalung.
Coba Bude selfie dulu deh,
Bentar,
coba selfie.
selfie dulu lah.
Kita mau lihat ya, kayaknya ada fitur terbaru dari Samsung Galaxy S24 Bude yang katanya bisa bikin kalung Bude yang hilang menjadi ada.
Benar, ini kurang banget sih.
Ya kan?
Kurang
Kayak
banget.
Kurang pemanisnya
Iya.
gitu ya.
Ketinggalan. Oke, Bude bisa magic dengan Samsung Galaxy S24 FE ini.
Oke, caranya
Nih.
gampang banget ya Bude kayaknya ya. Cukup klik icon edit, lalu bisa klik icon sketch to image, dan pastinya dari gambar objek bisa langsung digambar karena Bude di sini kehilangan kalungnya, jadi bisa langsung digambar kalungnya. Lalu langsung aja klik buat dan kita tinggal tunggu when the magic happens. Jadi khusus pastinya di Samsung Galaxy S24 FE ini kita dapat melihat bahwa di AI ini bisa membuat kalung Bude yang menghilang menjadi ada.
Nih, pilih ya. Mana nih yang bagus buat Bude?
Wow,
Yang
ada pilihannya
pertama,
juga.
Keren ya? Yang kedua, ini
cantik.
edgy. Gen Z
banget.
banget Bude ya.
Yang ketiga,
Waduh.
simple but elegant. Yang keempat, wow cantik ya.
Manis.
Kayaknya yang pertama deh, aku
Yang
paling
pertama
suka
ya?
deh Bude.
Pertama
Iya,
ya? Tuh,
yang-
dari gambar ini dong. Bude kan nggak jago gambar ya. Makanya.
cuman di garis doang loh itu Bude.
Betul, jadinya buset. Ini nih, ini cakep sih. Langsung aja nggak sih simpan salinan?
Wow, cukup mudah, sangat mudah, bisa langsung diupload ke sosial media dan pastinya Bude sudah semakin cantik tanpa kalungnya yang kelihatannya hilang menjadi ada. Dan pastinya Bude ini tuh harganya super affordable banget dan pastinya kalian semua bisa langsung membeli Samsung Galaxy S24 FE ini mulai dari 790 ribuan aja per bulannya dengan cicilan 0%. Jadi pastinya ini affordable banget dan tadi seperti Bude mungkin kalau kalian nanti pengen pakai kacamata, pengen pakai baju baru bisa juga. Dan pastinya Bude ada promo khusus penonton dari MPL.
Buat kita dong.
Yes, betul sekali buat kita. Karena khusus penonton MPL bisa mendapatkan gratis travel adaptor 25 watt dan Google Play voucher sebesar 200.000 dan pastinya gratis skin permanen Mobile Legends Bang Bang untuk pembelian di samsung.com/id pakai kode voucher promo Galaxy S24 FE X MPL.
Asik-asik seru banget dan lihatlah keajaiban-keajaiban yang diberikan oleh Samsung Galaxy untuk kita semua. Tapi di panggung MPL tentu kita akan melihat akankah ada keajaiban dari Geek Fam untuk mengejar poin ketertinggalannya atau mungkin
dari Bigetron Alpha yang akan mendapatkan kemenangan mutlak dengan 3-0 dan bisa mengamankan untuk babak selanjutnya.
Jadi tanpa berlama-lama lagi, mari kita saksikan bagaimana pertempuran di Land of Dawn untuk game kelanjutan semifinal lower bracket.
Thank you, BCM and Alyssa, for showing us the features and how precious the Samsung Galaxy phone is.
Bude Cabbage Monster making a comeback
Cabbage.
here.
What?
Bude cabbage.
Bude cabbage monster?
Yeah, she loves cabbage.
She wants to wear a dress that looks like all Philly. It's light green. I'm like, hey, it's Bude cabbage monster.
And she eats clean. She eats cabbages.
Funny
That
enough,
too.
she does. Very clean. She's very particular about it as well.
And you know what? Geek Fam also needs to be particular about what they want to do in game number 3 because it is on the verge of possibly a 3-0 and it's just going to end Geek Fam's dreams of M6 in MPL ID Season 14 playoffs because they have been there last season towards M5. Now, could this be where they will be absent in M6?
Ooh, I think it's quite realistic. Looking at how it's going, right? I mean, the drafts, it looks so much more flexible. This was the main concern when we were talking about this matchup even a couple of days ago. Bigatron, we've seen them play a variety of different play styles. Early game aggression, dive, poke heavy, pick off heavy. For Geek Fam, I mean, even from the regular season, it just seems like, hey, let's see what Beloit does.
Thumbs up, yes sir.
Thumbs
yes,
up.
General.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you picking someone off? Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. I'm
Let's get
going.
actual.
I think that, unfortunately, I think that right now BTR is a lot more confident in their laners in comparison to Geek Fam. I think right now that Geek Fam, they don't really have like a centralized style that makes them flexible, right? Because when we look at the regular season compared to where they are right now, I would say that even in the regular season, in that rebuilding period of getting that chemistry, unfortunately, they didn't really expand the types of compositions they could actually, play at a very, very high level, which is now starting to show off here at the playoffs against BTR because I don't know what's with blue side right now. It's not going well for Geek Fam, even though they come off with the advantage. And even with BTR coming on to blue side, they had like a bit of a weird job, but they still pulled through.
Now, back to the Alpha, though. It has been a signature pick for MPL ID Season 14 playoffs with the junglers like Vincent, Super Ken, even Kyrie having to be forced themselves into playing the Alpha. But before that, we want to talk about the audience topic voting right here. Match point for Bigatron. How can Geek make a comeback in game number 3? Of course, we want to hear what the audience has to say. With number 1 being aggressive early game. Number 2 is win Kajera's lane. And number 3, set up for objective contest. With aggressive early game being the most top voted. What do you think about this?
I want the fourth option.
What?
All of the above.
None of the above?
I will take fourth option. Put Vincent on Alpha one more time.
Wow, Alpha. So you are that confident in the Alpha.
I think that Alpha, it's really hard to mess up. It's so straightforward as a hero that you're not there to offer big plays. You're there to offer just your presence alone. Just having that one level lead advantage over the enemy jungle is all Alpha really needs to do because he's just a threat just existing.
And now, I kind of want to, do some comparisons, of course.
Of course.
Being an MPL NY.
Yeah.
Is Alpha also that prio in this patch? But considering you guys haven't been into the playoffs yet, still in the closure of regular season, but is Alpha that prio in the closing weeks?
Alpha is there. I just think that a lot of teams would rather not have to deal. I think Alpha is a fallback, right? It's a crutch for those players who aren't confident in themselves in playing some really high risk, high reward heroes. Ling, for an example, early game is pretty much non-existent unless you're sweeping up kills, but really need some golden items before you see it really pop off. And right now, we're not seeing too much of that from MPL Indonesia, which I find quite surprising because you guys were supposed to be the nation of like the assassin players.
Yeah, the mechanics.
Exactly. Even our Indonesian imports in MPL MY are more than happy to pick up Ling.
Interesting. I mean, maybe it's, they're trying to calm it down, trying to be more calculative.
They wanna hide their weapons for M6.
Oh, that's a very
I
idealistic
think
way of
the
looking
only
at it.
assassin player that has been very proud to boast his assassin stats and picking up the lane against an export maybe was Fabian in Team Liquid ID. But that's Fabian.
Yeah, but
That's like the
Sutsujin.
rookie of the season and the regular season MVP, and also Sutsujin as well.
Yeah, those two are a bit of an exception, I would say, man. They're just ice cold being on these assassins with all of the crowd controls. We're seeing all these fighters with quick engagers like the Gatot, like the Hylas. The assassins, they just keep going in, no problem.
And now, of course, the drafting phase presented by the official tournament smartphone of MPL ID Season 14 playoff. It is Samsung Galaxy S14 FE. Now, the bans. What do you think of the bans right here, Gideon?
So far, so good. Matilda Suyo chip from the side of BTR. Okay, so slight differences compared to the first two games we've seen here today. First pick Prio is, Zushin is gone. Matilda is also gone. previous game, I don't think Alpha is first pick worthy at this point. So where else do you lean into?
Hang on a second, wait.
Just go Harith Gold and force him out to play Lunox.
Surely something is left open. Wait, this is I think we're missing. I'm pretty sure we're overlooking something. Well,
It's all close. Hilda banned out, Tuyo banned out. Yeah, they will go for the Alpha again for Vincent.
all right, Gideon, they want option number 4. But for Bigatron, the Gator is available, the Khalid is available, the Yves is also available.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to give Moreno Yves one more time. I definitely think that like Fam's probably going to snatch
they get it now?
away. Yeah, I guess like, that's the thing, right? Because here's one of the 2 openers you can do for red side. Either you go flex pick mid lane, or you go show your double flex and pick your mid and third. But all of these different types of openings is centered around Moreno anyways, right? I think they could change it up. I think that BTR could even lock in their jungler right now if they wanted to. Here's that flex that we were talking about. Now, this should either be mid laner or their flex. Mid laner, flex, or jungle. One of the 3.
They might really go for the mid lane here. The boy again is a well-known Yves player. Absolutely, let's go. I like the chess terminology though, Gideon. Opener.
Yeah,
It's thinking of the Gambit's opener and some other openers.
I mean, this one was almost a gambit here. If they went for the double flex pick, it's a gambit to say, hey, are you confident enough to steal away this Yves from us, right? But I think that right now.
Whoa!
Faramis Natan?
Wait,
I mean,
why?
I mean, isn't the Youth technically kind of like a counter in the team fights against
Kind of.
Faramis? Because the Faramis entails you to group up together to get that another realm.
And then, hey, they haven't got a Kacha. Let's group up.
Oh my God!
This is concerning. I think the idea is they really want to double back down on the whole save Chidera, use him to delay and hold the fort, hold down that castle. But without the Yves, they go for the Faramis. They can kind of extend the fight longer. But man, they're gonna be still severely lacking in high ground damage.
They are.
The lead once more.
Don't get
This
it.
3 picks that kind of sealed the deal, sealed the pressure game in the early in game number 2.
Oh my God! I just realized what was let through. Phoveus was not touched that entire. Oh my goodness! This is so good, dude. BTR is literally smurfing on Geek Fam in the draft. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Because if you go first pick Phoveus here, you pretty much still give away both Khalid and as well as Gatot. But probably still have to deal with the Yves anyways, which is not ideal for Phoveus anyways. So BTR, they've got Geek by the balls, man. They're holding them in their hands. It's tough. It's really tough to play.
Even if they get the Phoveus, right? You're still gonna have to contend with with Super Luke just clearing the wave and just peacing out. The whole issue of not having Cryo and getting ganked on is still there for Geek Fam with or without the Phoveus.
And of course the Moskov ban and the Tigreal to just deny the
Oh,
lowest
Tigreal.
of that pick that he was able to don in the first game, but it wasn't as effective because it was just countered fully by Bigatron Alpha. Now, Geek Fam's last ban. Do they want to target possibly the jungle or maybe again just cone down Amon's choices?
Ooh.
Personally, I don't think it matters for the gold lane. Yeah, get rid of the Nolan. Get rid of the Nolan. Because at this point, every gold lane matchup has a direct counter to it. If we're going like, Harith is open, Harith is OP. Don't worry, there's still Lunox available for you, right? I was going to bring up the example of Moskov into Clint and then Clint being able to win that lane, but I mean, after your last game, I think I'm going to skim over that. Basically, there is a trifecta.
I see. Well, I mean, for Geek Fam though, they'll have their lead in the farming department for the Alpha. Nolan is one of the options that can be used to kind of match a clear speed. So Bigatron looking for an alternative. I wonder for Geek Fam, what is Boise going to be picking? Is it going to be again an AoE roamer to try and punish the dive? Or is it going to be something more defensive even to try and protect Chidera on the Natan even more, right? They can go one or two ways here.
I think if they want to go,
Julian.
if they want to go really, really wild, there's 2 wild plays, like geniusly wild plays.
Akai?
It's either they go for Akai. I mean, Akai is one of them. Oh, they went super safe this time. Man, I was thinking maybe they wanted to put Alpha in a winning position. If they can forcefully put Gatot in the EXP and know for a fact, make a hard read that Khalid is going to go roam. But that's beyond me at that point. They got the Ruby, they've got the Thamos, some decent early game, a strong side of the map, and most importantly, some form of counter engage.
Clint against the Natan.
Veldora on the Thamos. Big issue here. If if the frontliners of Bigatron dive in, then Timus can kind of separate both because he's just that tanky.
Yeah.
Just cannot burst down a Timus, even using an Atan. We saw that from our Q, right? Using the Photo Train burst on the Timus was not a good idea. And without the Tigreal, the Ruby becomes the next signature playmaking pick for Beloy. So I really think they found what they possibly could in this draft. Now it's all in the execution.
It's the best that they can get. But right now, BTR, the easiest way for them to punish them and punish Geek Fam really hard, you can literally spam your ults on Beloyski. He has no means of escape other than that flicker. You can almost guarantee that it gets blown.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be an insane game. Geek Fam, they're holding on a tight rope. And of course, casters, it's your time to shine.
Push to the edge. They're backed into a corner. Geek Fam, one last chance to qualify to actually extend their life in MPL Indonesia Season 14. Can they do it against Bigatron Alpha?
It's time! Potentially the last game of Geek Fam. Let's see, can Bigatron Alpha pull this off?
It's a big question in the air. Last season, Geek Fam were the team to stop BTR, sending them down in the lower brackets to out of the playoffs. And they were also the team that denied BTR an M5 slot in Season 12. 3-2 it was. So for BTR to do this, it'll be sweet, sweet revenge, but you cannot count Geek Fam out just yet. This is a boy on a Veramis. This is Mr. Beloy BBB on a signature Ruby, Veldora on a signature Tamas, and Chadera on an Atan that set Fnatic Onic, the defending champs, home. Let's take a look at the emblems here. Man, already very, very aggressive emblems. Weakness finder in the gold lane, not the quantum charge. He really wants to go for those big team fights later on, but he's got to be careful because the kill pressure of the Clint is ridiculous.
Triple threats. That's a knock up. Beloyski holding on to its flicker. No first blood there on that first skirmish.
That sets up a lane for Emon to abuse, man. Look at the card.
Sabetta connecting very low. Quicksand guard to buy time and clear the waves as well. Can Geek Fam, will Geek Fam dive this one? Seems like no. Super Luke will be able to get the clear.
Oh, man. And again, I have to be honest with you, man. I have to agree with Gideon. In the draft, BTR were literally smurfing against Geek Fam, really just nailing all these amazing picks. And the last Clint pick, too, was really, really solid for them. That's why they took away the Eve, too. You know, they tried to deny the Eve-Natan combination that gave Fnatic Onic such a big problem. They respect it by taking away the Eve and letting the Natan go up against the Clint. But now, for the setup, remember, they still have an Alpha, Geek Fam, so they can still contest this.
Ooh, someone's going to the top side there. Even, actually, they're winning the lane so far against Emon. It's quite interesting. And now, boy, he's not level 4 just yet. They're still gonna try to get them to their power spike when they got their ultimates. And it's time for the mutual objective battle. Super Ken, in the regular season, he was #1. The best out of all the junglers in taking this one.
Both Roamers not level 4 yet, but Geek Fam seems like they are going to go aggressive. They will take the Newt. Bigatron will concede. Will they find compensation though?
Nope, doesn't seem like it. BTR tried to go for a... Oh,
Super Luke reaching Sandstorm and
Whoa,
land,
whoa,
but it
whoa,
seems
whoa.
like Super Luke a little too aggressive, taking multiple turret hits, and it seems like Veldora is on a hunt on the mid lane. There's actually first blood falling for Bigatron Alpha. Beloyski taken down.
Super Luke is playing with the limit quite well, but Terra
Oh, have very clutch entropy. Bigatron though will take the gold turret.
wow.
Tucks Chadera again. Bigatron, they want more. 4 members on a boy, and it seems like a boy will not be able to survive again. Bigatron, they are on the hunt.
Mirko, we talked about this in the draft, man. This Yves, this Moreno Yves, is it gonna be another MVP for this guy?
does seem like it. This is a Moreno game. You called it, right? Right as he picked up the Eve, and right as you saw the Faramis, the Natan, Beloy.
Flicker, I'm offended. Vincent is in the area, but doesn't land. That's the Spear of Alpha on towards Amon. Can Amon buy time? No. Vincent finds the first trade for Geek Fam.
But it's a turret.
Some sign of fighting here from Bigatron or for Geek Fam. Even though right now they're still down about 2k gold league, which is really not good. But good news though, this Natan Chadera, they've played this over and over again, even abused it against the Porcupines. Can they actually do it against the onslaught of BTR Alpha? The dives.
Yeah, they're really putting all their backs into getting the setup. Luke won't go for it here. let's talk a little bit about how they were able to play this the game, right? For BTR, the Julian, the way they're utilizing it here is they were trying to go for the mirror plays. It's kind of like a Nolan, right? That's why the Nolan was banned. It's literally the same play style, but the Julian is a bit slower when it comes to the clear. That's why we saw in the purple buff, he had to try to use Retry. He had no intention to contest the turtle. That's why GeekFam just took the turtle. But after that, BTR made some big moves with Luke baiting them in bottom lane. They went up top to bully the Natan. And for GeekFam, they gotta remember that even though they have an alpha, they have turtle control. Natan is the main man.
Look at the takeover. AOG Raging Sandstorm combo! Super Ken gladly finds the turtle. That's a Spear Alpha connecting onto his skin. Key cannot hold on. Super Luke still holding three members as Aurora is doing his job as well. Chidera finding a kill. Super Luke now isolated, but it seems like the damage he dealt is too massive. He is trying to hold on, trying to buy time, but GeekFam will not be able to find Super Luke.
That was, oh my goodness! The cherry on the top as well. That was absolute criminal coming in from Super Luke.
Yeehaw, partner! Sheriff Iman is in town to cover for Mr. Super Luke. That's why he got the super when he joined BTR, man.
My goodness gracious, and once again, GeekFam is just falling down over and over again in the objective fights. Vincent cannot evade, man, like the AOGs, the Raging Sandstorm. There is just way too much, and it's not, even though it's telegraph, the range, the ground that they cover. How do GeekFam deal with this one?
This is a big problem of the alpha pick, right? With the alpha, you're not elusive at all. Arashi would hate this pick, and I think did he say he liked it, or Gideon liked it? Did Arashi dislike it? Oh, whoa!
And Torpedo on towards Super Luke, calmly done. Oh, what? That's Spear Alpha, but that's a real worm manipulation of the realm triggered. It seems like Vincent will find AOG, and good nights to Vincent. GeekFam, they need some sort of retaliation, but Bigatron, they're playing their cards very, very well.
If this is not tilting, I don't know what is.
That was 3v4. That was BTR just saying, yeah, we can take the turrets while also dealing with you. Just with 3 dudes. No purple buff. Vincent is 2.
Oh no,
levels down.
oh no. Ooh. Almost there, one shot away.
Big yikes.
From Sheriff Eman to get down. Goldroar to 0 HP, and at this point, 7 minutes, and the mid turrets, only 1 left for the fams. What is gonna be the hope for GeekFam? What is going to be the answer to this dominant game that BTR brought? Even Super Ken so far, he hasn't been very, he hasn't showed up the team fight that BTR took that, in the previous fights.
No, Super Ken's just been farming. He knows exactly how his team can play the non-MLBB game. This is what the Khalid and the Gata can get you. It's not MLBB. This is just like a boss fight that takes forever. And by the time you deal with a boss, then there's a second life of the boss, and that comes through Iman, Moreno, Super Ken. You've depleted all your resources by the time you deal with Luke and Gata. And even if you get a good trade over, Luke just Raging Sandstorms out, and he bases for free. He doesn't need to recall. He just pops the quick sand guard, gets the full HP. You have a game fact though for the Natan.
Man, oh man, Natan from Chidera currently holds a 100% win rate, 4 picks in MPL Indonesia Season 14, with 2 of those against Fnatic Onyx. Now, this is a completely different occasion. There is some counterplay, or maybe some hope though from GeekFam, because they have the setup, they have Faramis on the Aboy, so the peel is there, but what's going on right now in the equipment department, Mirko?
Well, looks like that's the big power spike already, man. Every time I see it, it's just ridiculous. A 2,600 gold lead for the Julian for Super Ken against Vincent.
It's massive.
2,200 gold lead, but I think the most impressive one, it has to be the mid lane. 1,640. You can see why he goes for Wishing Lantern every time. He has such a big snowball. This is Moreno's game. They picked the Faramis into the Eve. They picked this comfort for a boy. And yes, I get it, it's comfort. It has worked. Even yesterday, it was working. But against some Moreno that's been on fire on the Eve, was it really a wise choice? It's all on Chidera now. If they want to win the game, they got to protect Mr. President.
Chidera, they've done it before. This is a tough task indeed. And what against Onyx, by the way? Like, BTR should be in the same kind of stratosphere as Onyx, but why is it like the game is so different?
The game is different because BTR got to see what Onyx did wrong. They got to see what to adapt, what to change from that matchup. Geek Fam, they had Natan. We were talking about denying Natan or banning Natan. Turns out BTR says, sure, we'll ban Natan sometimes, we'll pick Natan sometimes, but if we don't need to, we can just pick up the Yve. The Natan was comboed together with the Yve with crazy frontliners that can keep people at bay. If you take one of that out of that strategy, I said this in the back rooms, but that was a one-dimensional strategy. You lose out on turtles, you defend forever. But without that specific composition, no Tiger as well from Mr. Baloy, right? It falls flat. You have to just go for Peel now, and the way that they tried to, cover those weaknesses was with early game control, with Alpha, with the Fairness, with the Tamas, pressure around the map, but it was not enough against the Gatot Khalid.
Man, oh man, and now the Sheriff not only holding a gun, he holds a sword from the Blade of Despair. So now a boy in Chidera has to has to calculate the damage even further. It is super difficult, 10k, and the Lord is coming, the first Lord. But the thing is, no mid-turret is available, no mid-turrets are in sight. BTR, I feel like they're guaranteed to get at least at the very minimum one of them. And this time,
with the zoning of the real world manipulation, with the gap closer of the Raging Sandstorm and the AOG, I think, yeah, one base turret should be confirmed, but I think Geek Fam should be able to still hold on.
11,000 gold difference. Can they make the defense? Good taunt. Good real-world manipulation. Super Ken is on the bottom lane turret. Veldora trying to zone the members, trying to zone the Lord. AOG committed! Key again! Elemento finds the 3-man, but he will fall. Turret saved in the mid lane. Avoid the Blicker play. Finds one, and he will be punished. Now Megatron, they are satisfied in taking 2 base turrets down, and they will go back.
with the 10k gold lead from BTR, I feel like this is a bit of an underwhelming fight coming in from the Red Robots.
I don't think so. Again, for Geek Fam, it's not like they have the worst clear in the world. They have pretty good high ground. With the Natan, they're still able to clear out the Lord. It's not as fast as with a Yve and Natan. You're not able to zone people out for the Natan to get free hits, but it's still really good. For BTR, getting 1 was already value. Getting 2 was a bonus. And notice the fact that for BTR, they didn't lose anyone with a bounty. Super Ken is the only one with a bounty, and he noticed that. He backed away instantly. They tried to go for a gamble, which I think was a very low-risk gamble. They sent in Key, they lost Moreno. That other part was a bit more of a risk, but no bounty, so they should still be able to go in.
Oh, AOG again finds a taunt. Raging Sandstorm finds the connection. Veldora goes down to there as well. This might be it. This might be the play that sent Bigatron Alpha to top 3.
A boy and Vincent, the 2 fams. Can they actually do it? It is a tough task. It is an impossible task against the Red Robots. They're coming in hot.
Victory inside! Bigatron will find bodies, and ladies and gentlemen, Bigatron Alpha finds the win, and they will enter the top 3.
My goodness gracious. Luke says, no, 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 not today. He's flaunting, he's showing off his new title, his new name, Super Luke. Indeed, it's not Luke anymore. He is Bigatron's Luke. Switching sides to the Red Robots and send their old mates home. 3-0. No retaliation whatsoever. And this might be, ladies and gentlemen, the most dominant series in the MPL Indonesia playoffs so far.
I think that one has to go to the win against Ultra Ego still, but that game was the most dominant game, I think, right? It looked like it was going to be Fnatic Onyx game with a 12,000 goalie that would be the most dominant game, but came through the side of BTR. They were able to adapt to read Geek Fam, and we've been talking about this in the keys to victory as well. The fact that for Geek Fam, it's been one-dimensional picks against RQ Hoshi. It's been one-dimensional picks against Fnatic Onyx, and day 1. They exhausted all of their resources before they got to BTR, and for BTR, I would say they kind of sound as the doubters. Most people were also saying that BTR had no tactics. They only had one thing going for them, for the most part, in the regular season, and it was those gambling plays, that team